Welcome everybody to the Room250 podcast.
One tiny pixel at a time.
We all have a room 250. It's that room where creativity happens.
I forgot how to do this. Welcome back everybody to the Room250 podcast, where creatives sit down, have a conversation, and hopefully inspire current and future designers to crush their creative goals one pixel at a time. I'm one of three hosts, art director and designer Arturo Pete Peralta. I am joined by my two best friends, creative director of the review journal David Patrick Slime, and art director Martin Edosoy Bautista. What's up, gentlemen?
How's it going?
What's up?
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Ring that notification bell. And do we have TikTok anymore? I'm not sure. But
You know what? I don't remember.
We do, we don't. It's on and off.
follow us on everything you can find us on.
Yep. Thanks for joining us, guys. For those of you who don't know what Room 250 is about, we are Room 250. Room 250 is that room that when you want to create something and you want to draw, you go down to that room, you get away from everybody, you sit down and you start drawing shit and you get shit done. Welcome and thank you.
Boom.
Thank you.
And tonight we have a very special guest, Karlos with the K, Karlos Martinez,
Karlos!
graphic designer and lettering artist. Welcome to the show.
Thank you guys. Glad to be here. So excited, man. Appreciate it.
That's
Thank you for
awesome.
coming
Glad
on.
you-
Invite.
Yeah,
I'm like eager to, yeah, come on, guys.
I like the light in the background. It matches what we're having here. So
Hey, thanks.
that's-
Yeah, I
that's
kind of
Yeah.
seen you guys got the purple neon thing going, so
Yeah,
I
looks
went
good.
with the black light.
Yeah.
Do it, bro.
Fuck
That's what
yeah.
I'm talking
Oh,
about.
yeah.
All right. As we start every episode, what's everybody drinking? Slide.
I'll start with the claw, but I do have a Modelo as well. So
Nice.
Let's start with the
Very
claw.
nice.
Very nice, very nice. Martin?
So I don't know if you guys
ASMR.
have had Modelo Micheladas. But this
Nah,
one I
with
haven't
the
had this
Negra.
one yet. Modelo Negra,
Is
it's new, so
oh,
I'm like, I
cool.
hope it's good.
Chile.
I don't know what to expect, but
With
these are pretty
Chile.
tasty, man. Yeah.
Okay,
so-
Look
all
good.
right.
Nice.
I've drank a good amount of beer in the last couple of weeks, so I'm just switching over to some whiskey. So I got the Knob Creek
Ooh.
over
Nice.
here
Nice.
out of my decanter. So I haven't drank that much. All right, I'm not that much of an alcoholic. It's all right here. So yeah, whiskey for
Pretty
me
cool.
tonight. Carlos?
How about you, Carlos?
Very nice.
Yeah,
Well,
Carlos,
I don't
what you
drink
got?
much alcohol lately, but I got one of these Keef drinks. They're the cannabis infused drinks.
How
Very
many
nice.
milligrams?
It's got 100 milligrams, so I'm gonna have to sip slowly.
Okay,
For sure.
damn.
Yeah, we are in a legal state, Nevada. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it is
All good.
completely
For
legal
sure.
here for everybody
Absolutely.
watching.
yeah.
Dude,
Join
that's
us
100?
for this ride.
That's dangerous for 100, especially. Does it taste good? What does it
Yeah.
taste like?
It's pretty good. It's got it's a mango, pineapple.
Ooh,
So,
yum.
okay.
Ooh,
Yeah, it's a little
All right.
fruity.
all those
It's pretty
flavors.
good.
Does
Yeah,
it
it doesn't
taste
have
like
that.
dangerous?
Yeah, it's pretty. It's smooth, so that's
Ooh.
kind of dangerous, when it's
Yeah.
easy to go down.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How do you? Yeah, I don't know how you would divide that into like. Make sure you only drink 10 to 20 milligrams.
I have no
The
idea.
higher you
Yeah.
get, the more you forget that it's weed, and you just keep drinking more.
Sip it.
Nah, dude, that's ooh. We'll
That's
see how it
dangerous.
goes, bro.
Yeah,
Right.
that sounds dangerous.
Well,
but
we'll
anyways,
check in with you in about an hour or two.
cheers, gentlemen.
Right.
Cheers.
I'll be
Cheers.
To a great
Cheers.
episode.
Cheers. Cheers, guys.
All right. So we're starting, and just to kind of get the shakiness out, I'm going to ask you a variety of quick questions there, Carlos. You just answer right off the top of your head. So
Okay.
I got about 10 of them, and see if the guys
Ooh,
jump in
okay.
here.
Mhm.
So, all right, you ready?
Ready.
Okay. All right, markers or color pencils?
Markers.
Power Rangers or Voltron?
Voltron.
Goku
Sorry.
or Vegeta?
Vegeta.
Burger
Oh.
King or McDonald's?
Burger King. I prefer
Chipotle or Mexican food from real Mexican place?
Real Mexican place. Preferred.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Hell yeah.
Photoshop or
Though I
Illustrator?
do like the cilantro rice. That's
Yeah, no, that
that's
is pretty
awesome.
fun. Illustrator or Photoshop?
Illustrator. Yeah.
Tablet or Sketchpad?
Tablet.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
How
Awesome.
about,
What's
okay, I got
the,
one.
go.
Iron Man
Go.
or Captain America?
Gosh, the ultimate question, right?
Yeah, you got Civil War.
I got one.
Iron Man. I'm gonna
Oh,
keep
All
it.
right.
okay.
All
Martin.
right. Spider-Man or Venom?
Spider-Man. I'm a Spider-Man fan.
Nice. I'm a Venom over here, bro.
Yeah. Nice.
Serif or others?
Which what?
Serifs or others? Like font wise.
Oh, geez. Do I have to choose?
As a lettering artist, yes,
serifs.
you do. No.
Serifs are fun. They're a lot more
Nice.
fun.
Awesome.
I feel like they're a lot more
Cool.
difficult too, though, right?
They can be. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So,
There's
so
a lot of specifics. Yeah.
yeah, no, I'm sure. So I first met Carlos back in, geez, I think it was like 2012 or 2013.
Yes.
I was a production artist at Virgin Advertising, and I think our friend Jacob went on vacation. He went back to Australia, and they needed some help, and then I think that's where Carlos came in to do some production
Right.
work. And we were
Yep.
just like cranking, shit out, because I mean that's how it was at any agency. I mean, you usually start as a production artist coming into your career, and
Correct.
you learn a lot. You learn a shit ton, and you're working with so much different artwork from different properties. Seeing commercials being made, seeing packaging. Actually, Carlos, were you
Definitely.
one of the ones that we had to do the Thunder from Down Under calendar?
Yeah. Yes, I was part of the creative for I think
yeah. Because we got
2014.
the I won't say his name, but the owner of the place was mad at us because we weren't creating a sexy enough calendar
Yeah.
for his eyes,
God.
and I was just like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I don't know how to do like the sex appeal for Thunder from Down Under. Like that's
Right.
not my shit.
It's
I'm just
not
gonna
your deal,
placing. Yeah, I don't hate it like that. Like it's just like I don't know how to.
How do you
Here,
spice
Gotta
it
get
up,
in a
right?
woman's mind.
Yeah. Right? I'm like I could do other stuff, but yeah, not this. And I mean, I think it was revision after revision, and then
Yes.
shortly thereafter, I left, took a career opportunity somewhere elsewhere, and then just kind of lost touch with you,
Yeah.
Carlos. And so
Right.
tell us from like how did you get into graphic design? How'd that path go?
Oh wow. It's kind of long. I've
Hey,
been in
we got
graphic
time.
design since probably 2003. Okay.
Okay.
But definitely, I was exposed to what was graphic design. I didn't know at the time. Through my mom, she worked in a newspaper.
Okay.
So and this was back in the early '90s, 80s, like '80s actually, '80s '90s. So it was like very old school stuff. The photographer still had his dark room. The typesetter, copywriter still had their own machine where they just sat and copyrighted, and that's what all they did, and typed out stuff. And you had your layout artists, which there was no computer back then. So what they did was take everything that the typewriter would print out, and literally cut line by line. And this is where the term copy paste comes from, because you would cut all these lines down, and then you would take these lines and roll them through a wax kind of roller.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a drum with wax on the bottom, and it would roll as you would roll these paper things. It would wax one side, and so now you could stick it onto a gridded paper, big blue grids for newspaper. So you would do your entire grid, your columns and everything onto this gridded paper that you would cut and paste and stick that on. You'd get your photos halftone. After the photographer did his thing, you'd get your halftone stuff, put the photos on there too. And once that was done, you'd have all these, however many sheets, sections, 30 pages, whatever, 40 pages that would then, of course, fold camera ready, laid out. So that's also, camera ready term, a lot used back then. So you would take these camera ready things to your printer, and they would then either scan them or photograph them, whatever they do, I didn't know what they did back then. But they would definitely, scan them and everything, and then run that through these big machines and stuff that run newspaper back in the days. So that was my first. Yeah.
So it sounds like you were doing literally you were doing Photoshop by hand.
Right.
Well, no,
Exactly.
that's the newspaper.
Yes.
He wasn't doing that, but that's how the newspaper was running.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely the way that worked was definitely that way. You by film, you would take photos and develop them, and I'm not sure how he turned them into halftones, but he would end up just giving the layout artist the size in halftones, and they would lay these photos out. Yeah.
Nice.
So you saw this
Your mom did
process
that?
happening, and it just it captured your attention, obviously.
Yeah, obviously, and this was, like I said, back in the 80s, 90s. So seeing that turn from that to the Mac environment was something else that I also saw, and then seeing that come through with a guy that was like in charge of training people to have that change. He would talk all kinds of stuff about Apple products and that kind of stuff. And even back then, I heard about the Wacom tablet, or the little pen that you would write on. And this was back then, the Apple whatever, first versions, Apple II, whatever. So yeah, that seeing all that, like I said, at first it doesn't seem like anything useful. Like, okay, you just see this kind of stuff. This is what my parents work on or whatever. I am a artist by nature, by I don't know how you would call it. But I've been drawing since I was 4 years old. I got somehow my kindergarten teacher saw that I was very adept at it, and she started making me draw things. I remember making me draw things, but I didn't know that she was entering the stuff that I drew into contests for children and stuff like that. So I ended up winning a contest in Mexico as a drawing contest and that kind of stuff. So I was sort of adept since early age to drawing and that kind of stuff. Like I said,
what kind of stuff were you drawing?
Oh, back then, cartoon characters, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
When I first came to the United States, we used to, my brother used to get the Lowrider Arte magazines.
Yeah.
I have one, bro. I have one of those.
Those things are.
Who's my secret? If you want to pull that up.
Yeah, they're amazing, right?
Yeah, let me see.
For those of you that don't recall, slides pulling up here. The Lowrider Arte. Dang, I forgot about that.
You forgot about
crazy.
Those, right?
Yeah, dude.
I have a question, Carlos. My mom was crazy, just crazy paranoid about gangster stuff, so she would not allow me to even get those magazines or nothing cholo at all. Did you have that same issue?
Very nice.
So whenever I got it, I would hide them.
Nice. Yeah, like I said, it was my brother who would get those. So I would go sneak into his room and grab his copies. I'm not sure if he got in trouble for them or not, but yeah. He wasn't allowed to dress and
some of
all
this
that stuff. So.
Yeah, me either.
Dude, I think I remember that issue. I could be wrong, but I forgot about the whole Lowrider Arte.
Dude, the crazy thing is I was having my mom buy me this stuff too. On Nellis Air Force Base.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. It's very hand drawn, and it's sort of I'm pretty sure it's like a national sort of collection of different artists who do lowrider art, and some artists who have even like a jail sort of
tattooed, like jail, prison tats kind of stuff.
Prison tats, yeah. Right.
Yeah, that's
so that was like a constant thing to look at.
Obviously,
and try to emulate a lot. Yeah.
Wow. Talk about flashback, bro. Thank you for that one. I totally forgot about that. Yeah. Wow. Right. What's circa what? Like 90? Well, what year was this?
I mean, when
It's like-
I was looking at this stuff, I was like 92 or something. But I mean, this stuff's been around
Okay.
for quite a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it still being? No, it's not out still, right? Lowrider art.
You know what? I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, the level sometimes was pretty dope on some of those artists.
No, for sure.
Yeah, they got the Instagram.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Not sure
Wow.
how. Yeah,
Yeah, I
for sure.
just
This
remember
is-
looking
I
at
mean,
some of this stuff and like realizing that the range of talent and styles too. You know, some of the shading that was done, the typography that was done by hand, anatomy. You know, you could tell who was good at hands, who sucked at hands, who was good at what they were obsessed with, what they weren't
Right.
obsessed with. You know,
Right.
the clown face, the Dia de los Muertos, the Indias, all that stuff. The
Right.
banners.
Yes,
no,
there's
it's,
the
I
warriors.
remember seeing all that stuff. It was
Oh yeah.
it was definitely cool. I think the typography always got me. Was just like it was always tight, like, you know, by hand. You know, it's not on computers, so having to do
Not
that
on
by
computer.
hand, like
Right.
that's fucking talent in itself. Especially like nice,
Yeah.
clean, crisp script font. Like that was always badass.
Right, and that was definitely like my first, I guess, when I first got exposed to also Chicano writing, like calligraphy, sort of graffiti, I guess you could call it. You know, tagging sort of writing.
Mhm.
I don't know if you guys ever seen that kind of stuff. It's pretty specific kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But yeah, definitely. All that stuff was like, man, you know, you try to emulate it as a kid, and I'd have, you know, my friends would hang out and I'd be like, let's have drawing contest, you know, let's draw lowriders and that kind of stuff. So, you know, it's pretty fun.
So you're illustrating, you're growing up, and then like as you're illustrating throughout your life, did that lead into like get graphic design, or how did that go?
Right. I mean, I definitely took, you know, throughout high school all kinds of art classes. Tried to take, you know, every elective I could in art, and music as well. For a while there, I did play music in a band. I play music. I'm a musician.
What do you
But-
play?
The guitar.
Is
Is my instrument.
Nice.
Yeah, the triangle. Yeah.
Like,
The Guido.
maracas right there. He's like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, that's right.
There you go. The Charlie
Yeah.
Brown thingy. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I was, you know, creative in that kind of way. It wasn't until after high school that I was, believe it or not, I went for financial advisor, and was going to study for that. And yeah, until, you know, my mom, I guess she saw me drawing a lot. I was at the point at that time, like sort of like doing mixed media, doing pencils with, you know, with foil, and, you know, like just trying different things. So she saw this and she was like, "Hey, there's this school that just opened up, you know, down the road. It's called the Art Institute."
Hell yeah.
Oh, you went
It's
there,
like, really?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
I was like, where did I meet you? I think I met you at AI.
Yeah, I mean, I met most of you guys in AI. I mean, I think
Yep.
we either had a class, overlapped a class,
yeah.
took a class together, something, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's from all the art and drawing and stuff, and her also having that she had that job being in graphic design. She saw that would be a good option for me. So
Your mom?
yeah, my mom.
Oh, so your mom,
Yeah,
your mom was the graphic designer.
she was technically just the copy typesetter. Like I said, back then
Okay.
it was you didn't.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to remember these is like the 80s. You know, this stuff hasn't been meshed up as a job as graphic design till like maybe our generation, or maybe like the 90s or something.
Yeah.
But back then, I mean, it was the typesetter did the typesetter's job. The photographer did the photographer's job. The layout artist did the layout artist, and he did cut and paste his stuff.
Yeah.
Now they want you to do everything.
Now you do everything. Right?
Now you're a photographer, UI, UX, fucking motion graphics, 3D,
Web designer,
art direction, web designer,
and we have to thank Adobe.
Media
thank Adobe for that.
Exactly.
Salesperson, you got to sell yourself too.
Yeah, you gotta sell.
Yeah,
It's just
Yeah.
fucking everything.
Absolutely.
So, of course.
From the front to the back, absolutely. A well-rounded graphic designer is what I was told in college. So,
Right.
You're
Yes.
like that musician, bro, with the fucking drums and the thing on the foot and like. Ding,
there
ding,
you
ding.
go.
That's us, man.
Right, the one-man band kind of thing, definitely. As technology has progressed, I mean that's how it's happened. Now we have programs that handle different tasks when it used to be 2-3 people involved in that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a lot faster, of course. So yeah, a lot of change. That, like I said, I've seen a lot of that stuff come through.
That's crazy. Like
through
seeing
that.
like your mom, in a way, or we'll just say she was a graphic designer, and then like now you're in a way
Yeah.
following her footsteps. Doing
Correct.
your own thing. So what drew you to the Art Institute? Like what was it that when you got there or you saw it that you're like, hey, this is the place for me?
Yeah. Well, definitely. I think. I mean, as a growing artist, I guess you learn about these great schools, and in colleges, in Paris and Yad and Salvador Dali and whoever attended all together to this college and yada yada. So it all seems kind of like very far and like something that you can't really have here until the Art Institute showed up. And then it's like I showed up with my portfolio a whole bunch of sketches and drawings and stuff that I had done at that point. And they said, yeah, show us everything you got. And of course, why would you like to join? And of course, they seen all my stuff and they're like, oh my God, it's so cool. It's so cool. You'd fit perfectly here. And as soon as you start walking down those halls, I mean, they take you down that little tour.
Yeah.
And everything looks so freaking shiny.
Motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Fucking
Awesome.
and get you
And
by the
have
balls
like
right
this,
there.
just the cool library.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you got the
can have
library. And
anything you'd like to, and then computers, and you have the
They're all
computer,
brand
room.
new. Yeah.
Yeah, the computer room for all your projects. Everybody hangs out here, and so you get this awesome facility, and of course, all the best part was the whatchamacallit, the display.
The display case.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
display cases, man. As soon as you start walking by those, like, oh man.
Did
You
you ever
really
get your
start to
artwork
see-
in there?
I did
Nice.
last year.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I think it was
Okay.
like an album cover for something or the other. But yeah, I got my stuff in there. It was pretty fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I multiple displayer over here. What can I say? Got
Nice.
quite a few.
Hey, it's always the goal, You want to get into the display.
Yes,
Fuck
it
yeah,
was, right?
Shit.
Mm-hmm.
Man, so badly, yeah. So yeah, definitely that was one of the things that, man, when you see that you're like, wow, you see the definitely the level of skill that some of the artists at that point that definitely did go through, because I mean they obviously went through a program, they got their stuff up there, and or maybe they didn't, but they got their stuff up there, very skilled people. So you're like, man, I want to be here, I want to be part of whatever's going on here. Like I said, you only read about it or see about it or stuff in history, and you're like, man, I want to be there. Like-minded people, and of course you walk down the halls and you see all these other different
Different.
weird,
Yeah, exactly.
weird,
Different.
weird people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
It's
man,
definitely. Yeah.
Other
Yeah, I could
artists.
other artists, yeah, definitely. And so it's pretty fun. Pretty fun. It is very, very attractive.
Did you go there? Did you get accepted for graphic design, or did you go for something else?
Yes, I went for graphic design right away. They
Okay.
started talking about animation and stuff, and I was like, yeah, no, I don't want to draw a single frame 24 times. I really don't want to
Yeah.
do that. You know, I want to draw something once or use these different, like I said, different mediums and stuff, and do something like that. Yeah, very artistic minded. You know, I wanted to do something cool one time, like a masterpiece, and wow.
Yeah.
So at when you started AI, were you already familiar with like Illustrator or Adobe products
Oh
because
no,
of your
not at all.
mom, or nothing?
No, not at all. I would say very, very lightly.
And how did you like? What were like some of the first classes that you attended when you got to AI? Did you feel that you kind of were just thrown into the ringer, or you felt that AI did a good job of like introducing you into what it is to be a graphic designer?
Um, well, I think the first classes are, of course, a little bit of mix of general ed, of course, if you didn't have those, and a little bit of hands-on drawing still. Um, I remember I even took sort of like it wasn't like a interior design, but it covered like classes and of art and eras and chairs and Victorian style, and so
Yeah.
it was very cool to get the whole history lesson and everything behind it, and finally kind of like start piecing a lot of the things that as a self-taught artist you're kind of like not really exposed to having somebody teach you. So it's kind of fun to have a little bit of that color theory, like I said, history. Uh, what was it? Man, there was different classes.
Fundamentals of
Right,
design.
of design,
That's
and
a good
it was a
one.
lot of hands-on drawing and mocking up.
Yep.
And so the process of graphic design, I think, was what was also very nice. Is a sketch, then a tight comp, and then finally go on the computer. And so they sort of did a good job to try to introduce you to using your hands at first before throwing you in straight into the computer. So I appreciate that.
Like we've said before on the podcast, it's kind of overwhelming when you just go straight into a computer.
Right.
And for sure, I mean, doing it by hand in the beginning kind of is like an easy way to like get you into it. And it teaches you that process to go into it.
Right. Yeah. I remember we did like a mock-up of like, you had to choose, and I did glasses. So, you had to do the drawing plus the letters, and then, do different colors, and you'd have to do all this by hand, do 2-3 variations of it, but by hand before you were to go on the computer to try to duplicate that. And that was pretty fun, to try to learn that process and do everything by hand that way. It was like, okay, this could be fun. I could do this. you know?
So
This could be a fun job.
Oh no, for sure. So as you're going through AI and you're learning all this stuff, was there a path that you wanted to go down? About to get your degree. You've learned this shit already. Photoshop. Typography.
Right.
Like, was there something that you're like, hey, this is the direction that I want to go with in my career?
Right. No. And now, oops. I'll explain why.
The milligrams are kicking in.
It's already in.
It was only 2 sips, man.
Now you got to chug
30
it.
minutes. 30 minutes
Yeah,
in. Bro, he's
30
done.
minutes in. 30 minutes in is like, fuck.
All right, guys. Woo.
Okay. And this is part
Right.
1 of the Karlos interview.
Yeah.
Right. So, I forgot where we were at.
So you're at the
yeah.
Art Institute, you're going through it. Take us towards the end of it, like you're getting ready to graduate.
Like, did you,
Oh, right.
did you have
So
a
no, I
specific
didn't
path?
have I didn't have a specific pad. I started back in 2003. Okay, and you guys are like, what? 2003? Didn't you graduate in 2011?
Oh, 3. I graduated in
So I
2003.
went. I went for an associate's first.
Okay.
Okay.
So I was there before, because back then it was like you could choose the associates or the bachelors. So
At the
Oh,
Art
I
Institute.
didn't know that.
at the
I didn't know
institute,
that.
Oh,
wow.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I had
Yeah.
no idea.
Yeah,
I
when I
started
went,
I started
late-
AI in like 2007, I think. That's
Yeah.
when or 2008. That's when I started my first
2005, I
term.
think.
right.
For you? You started
I
2005?
think it was 2005. I don't remember.
took you-
bro. I don't remember.
Oh, didn't we all graduate in 2012?
Yeah,
Yes.
2011.
Yeah, so
11, yeah,
2008.
11, 12?
2008.
oh, Carlos, you
2007.
graduated in 2011?
Yes, I think we were the same graduating
Yeah.
class.
Yeah, yeah.
Date.
I think
July,
so.
right?
Oh, yeah,
July.
it has to be
Yeah, yeah.
2011.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I joined in 2009, and I went
Yes.
straight
Yeah.
full through. I didn't have any
Straight through.
stops.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had a
Like,
break.
I
had a
literally
break,
went
too.
to the Art Institute like not even a month after I graduated high school. They already had me in, and I was like, "Fuck, I don't even have any time to fucking hang out or go fuck off and shit." Just straight into school.
Straight into it. Yeah, right. So I went, for the associates
Okay.
program, and I left not knowing what I was gonna be. I mean, you got training for Photoshop, et cetera, and I have to admit I left a little bit early. That's when I first had my firstborn. It was in
Oh, okay.
2005. So I left a little bit early, of course, to take some responsibilities and stuff, and going to school got a little tough. And I figured, I got enough of this, under my belt to get going. What else do I need? I know how to draw this stuff. I know how to use these programs. Let's
I'm
get
an
going.
artist. I got this.
I'm an
Yeah.
artist.
Yes.
Okay, I'll fucking
Forget
find
about
a
it.
job.
yeah, definitely. So what I ended up going straight into was prepress.
Oh, hell
wow,
yeah.
okay.
Right. So I was looking for work, and I of course the kind of work was back then was it's completely different field in both graphic design and printing. In printing, you have to be a broker. You have to have a broker's license to sell print, or
Wow.
be
Interesting.
a graphic designer, or be in a graphic design house. So you and still then they had these brokers who would go and sell or be the intermediary between the print and that.
What is?
So-
I'm sorry, I don't
yeah.
know that term. What is like a broker?
So basically, a salesman for a printing company. So instead of being able to just walk in and say, "Hey, I got this stuff I want to print," they'd totally be like, "Yeah, no, you have to talk to our sales guy, our broker.
Okay.
And he'll help you figure out what you need and get you set up." So
Interesting.
you couldn't
okay.
just walk
Just-
into a place and
just
do that.
They'll bullshit you and tell you that the paper that you just bought is bullshit because they don't know when it was printed, the weight, if it's gonna mess up their machines, and they'll be like,
Right.
"You have to buy our cardstock that we have environmental control about, not your shit. That's probably the same distributor that we get our shit from." But yeah,
Yeah.
that's what their fucking
Yeah.
job was.
Yeah, definitely. And there's some I know the thermography here in town. You still have to be a broker, have a broker's license in order to get the thermography done from a business here. I don't want to say the name, but yeah, back then you had to have a broker and have to go through that. So getting your stuff printed wasn't so easy or so available for the general public.
Gotcha.
And as far as design, I mean, definitely the design was done in design houses. SKG was like a huge one back then.
Yeah,
And,
huge back
I mean,
then.
and man, it was like, I mean, from working and from seeing my mom work in a graphic design, you'd see people walk in from these places and they'd come in suits and with their big portfolios and showing the stuff that they wanted printed, full pages, etc. These big design houses, and I was like, man, that's fucking cool. And if at times they would have me, I was young enough to be a delivery driver, so I would at times go take deliveries to these places too. And I guess that might have also been part of like the attraction too. Seeing walking into these places, having to hand over, you know, the hard proof or whatever of the paper or whatever. So yeah, it was very, very different. You have to be of a special skill to be a graphic designer, sort of back then. You know, special knowledge.
Yeah.
So yeah, and again, there wasn't no schools here until the Art Institute
The
showed
Art
up.
Institute.
Yeah.
Was there like UNLV graphic design?
No.
No. Oh, interesting.
No. There was.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. I mean, so how old are you, Carlos?
At that time, man, I was 23.
No,
Right
same
now.
right now. How old are you?
Right now, I'm 43.
Okay. All right. So we're within the same wheelhouse. Slides the youngest one here. I think he's 38 or something.
I'm about to turn 34.
Oh, sorry.
Nice.
little
Young.
You sound like
Country
you're
boy,
shit,
yeah.
man.
Say, hey.
Okay, Martin.
How does it feel?
Yeah.
You said something like, you said it was back in the day, it was like special for you to be like a graphic designer, and now it just feels like it's not a joke, but like, you know, graphic design, especially
Like
with
anybody
AI,
can do it.
and
Yeah,
anybody
you
can
have
do
a
it.
$10,000
Yes.
boot camp that will teach you Canva, and now you know how to do graphic design.
Now you know. That's right.
So
That's right. Well, now you
Still
know.
feels-
Now you know.
yeah,
And there's all
Crazy.
these other. There's all these other websites that you can go on to and take classes too. Little short
Get
classes.
certificates.
YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah.
could YouTube shit. YouTube. There's channels.
Yeah.
Pixel art that teaches.
Right.
Puts out video. I mean, I've seen some of their stuff. I'm like, shit,
Right.
I forgot how to do this, and I go on their stuff, and oh, here it is.
Yeah.
He's teaching me this shit. I'm like, that's how you soften the edge. I totally forgot
New
about
cool
that.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or no, even just old shit. Just basic fundamental stuff that you forget. To be honest,
Mhm.
yeah.
when
Right.
you cut
you don't
out
use it.
images. Yeah, when you cut out images, you forget that you gotta soften the edges. Nothing looks super harsh that way, and it's like,
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
How do I redo that again? And it's just you have to do little shit.
Oh man, I
paragraph
hopped onto
styles.
Photoshop. I hopped onto Photoshop like a week ago to do something. Man, I had the worst time. I was like, I couldn't. I had a mask, and for some reason, I was like trying to move the image, and it was just moving the background. And I was like, man, I'm completely fucking lost.
Really?
I haven't used it in
Okay.
that long. Yeah, I rely heavily
Yeah.
on Illustrator. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense.
yeah.
All right. So we graduate in 2011.
Right.
What happens right there? What happens to Carlos with the K?
Oh right, yeah. So definitely, I went back to learn. Of course, get updated. At that point, it was more about learning the digital end, the digital frontier of the internet was coming through, and apps and all that kind of stuff was being talked about. And so had to start turning, because I was trying to sell trifold brochures still like at $600, $800. And at the same time, you got graphic designers who are now selling a landing page with 2-3 things and for about as much. So a lot of people are now jumping onto the internet than selling or buying these giant trifold brochures, 5,000 copies, and have to go hand them out. So a lot of things started changing around then. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going back, to learn this stuff. Learned graphic design from there. Got my bachelor's, and it was freaking completely different ambience there the second time around. Since maybe it's because it was the later part of the program. A lot of more people seemed serious and a lot more freaking skilled. There's definitely
Thank you.
like 2 or 3. Yeah, there's 2 or 3 different like Aaron. It was
Wade?
really good. Aaron Wade.
Yeah.
I believe there's this other guy.
That dude's on a whole different level from the very start.
Oh yeah, from the
yeah.
very start, you've seen his
Yeah,
stuff, and it's
yeah.
like, oh man,
Yeah.
right away. Jono, I don't know if you guys knew Jono Boyer. He had like a lot of stuff up on
Sounds
that
really
display
familiar.
case too. it was like,
No, I
yeah,
don't
there was like,
remember that guy.
man, there's a lot of other folks who were just like really taking stuff seriously. So, yeah, I got out of there, before I was trying, like I said, because I went back for this education and wanting to get this time definitely a job placement before I leave. I was hitting Ryan
Mm-hmm.
every day, every other day. Hey, what do you got on your board? What do you got on your board, man? Oh man, out here, I need to send me on leads and stuff. Some were, kind of crummy. Some of it didn't pay anything, and of course, I couldn't really handle nothing, without pay, or and that kind of stuff. And of course, at the end, you have to do an internship. So I had to end up taking one of those with what was their name? I forget their name, but it was an agency. And I think Jordan was there too for a while.
Oh,
And,
Brand.
Brand.
Brand
There you go.
agency?
Brand. Yes,
Yeah.
Brand. And then a
I
couple
worked
other
there,
folks.
yay!
Yeah, a couple other people.
Yeah.
They were hiring, a lot of folks coming out of there for internships and stuff. So that felt really good to right away get my hands into an agency sort of ambience. But as soon as that was done, they offered me, of course, a job, but it was just very, very low. It was minimum wage, and I got discouraged, to say the least.
Yeah,
I was like, fuck this shit.
Shit.
So so I'm like,
plus, I mean,
fuck.
you got your school loans too.
Yeah, school loans,
Right?
etc. And I'm like, man. And of course, I mean, everything they sold you, they within the first year, you guys are gonna make over 100,000. You're gonna be able to pay this within that much time. Oh, you guys wouldn't believe it. You're gonna be rolling in money and so much cool jobs and this and that. And I was like, oh man,
They didn't tell
Yeah.
me that. I
No, they
didn't
didn't?
hear that part. Yeah, no, I was not told on that. To be honest,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
once was I. They told me they would help me find a job, but
Eesh.
how much I was gonna make was never told.
yes,
They for sure
well,
told me what Carlos is talking about.
yeah.
They
Like I
told
said,
me
I
you were
mean,
Wow.
gonna make. You were gonna make over 50 and shit, 50, 60.
yeah,
I mean,
That's
even
what
if
a
you
lot
look
of
at their old
students-
commercials, it's the same thing. They're like, hey, you can get this job that's making like a crazy amount of money, and all you have to do is sign up for this college course for, super fast track, 2 or 3 years, and then boom,
Yes.
you're already in the field.
right.
That's why it makes sense now why all these kids had this like attitude of I'm gonna graduate, I'm gonna make bank, and that was the energy that everybody at AI was like, oh, we're gonna make bank when we graduate.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was definitely told that I was going to make, above a certain percent or a certain, salary, and I was like, yeah, that always. So when I got offered that, when I was, the second time around, and I'm like, I'm definitely looking for something,
Heartbreak.
$850 an hour, and I'm like, God,
Shit.
that's not going to do anything for me, man.
Yeah.
So the first thing I did was go back to what I knew. It was prepress.
Oh wow, okay.
Nice.
Prepress. Because prepress, for some reason or another, always paid just a notch above design.
Mhm.
At that point.
Yeah.
And definitely when it came back then to in-house designer or a small designer, definitely prepress was paying more. Minimum wage was about the average back then. $8.50, like I said. And so, maybe print would do, 10.50, maybe even 12.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was,
I mean, there's a lot more that goes
no-brainer.
into it, right? For a pre-press, I mean, you got to have everything set up correctly and
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
offset printing.
There's a lot of stuff. I mean, the first job that I got, like I said, I the first time around, I came out and I was like, man, I need to land something. And there was a big print house. They were over on Industrial and Desert Inn, down on the underpass kind of thing. And I think they were it was the they all have the very generic name, though they have they think they have like a very specific name, but they're all print something, you know.
Yeah.
Design print,
Yeah.
print design, print design something. So so it was one of those. And I walked in there, and I was like, you know what, I need a fucking job. You know, I was at the point where I was like, man, I'm ready to go to McDonald's or something and hit whatever, you know. So I walked in, and unknowingly the boss, the owner was right in front. And I walked in, and I'm like, hey, you know, I need a job. And he's like, oh yeah, you know, what do you know how to do? Well, I'm a graphic designer, and here's my card, and here's my stuff. And he's like, okay, no, well, I don't have any pre-press right now. I don't have any design positions. And I was like, well, I can run a mop. I can run a broom. Anything else you might have in the back. And he's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I got a few floors. He's like, come on back.
Nice.
Damn.
Wow.
And so
Okay.
as soon as I walk in, you know, he opens the doors, and it's what they call a train. It's a 6-color offset machine. Fucking huge, right? You got to climb on that freaking thing with a ladder or step ladder. And man, as the smell of the ink is unforgettable, and I'll you know, it's something that you never forget, and you love after a while.
Mm-hmm.
So he walks me in, and yeah, I started learning pre-press, which was layout, laying out gang runs, 50, 60, 80, 100 different business cards. You have to lay them out. Gang runs, you know, run a little bit different. They're cheaper because you can get, like I said, different clients to pay a certain amount on the same sheet, which is more you know, it pays more than to have one client pay for the entire sheet.
Yeah.
When you do the math, right?
Yeah.
So you start to learn, you know, these little things and stuff, and at the same time that I started, the thing that helped me out was the most was at the same time that I started, they brought in another pre-press guy, and he was from Mexico, and he didn't speak a lick of English, but he had worked in that for his whole life, and he was just a treasure trove of information. This guy could look at a printout and be like, yeah, that's 30 magenta, that's 60. We're gonna have to throw 5% more on that. I'm like, God, how the fuck do you know that? And sure enough, I mean, the guy, him and his brother used to be, you know, pressmen with the loop and the whole thing, and so he could look at the stuff and be like, yeah, it's like this. And so, you know, I picked up so much stuff from that guy within the first 3-4 months of that job. Setups, cut
It's
files.
always crazy when they see that the
So
prints,
much.
right? When they see the print with their little eyeglass thing, and they're fucking looking at shit, and you're like, oh damn, wow, that's a whole different thing right there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the way those colors mash up, you wouldn't think that's how stuff gets printed, you know, until you really look at it. And yeah, so that was already, you know, like a very good primer. Besides that, when you're in pre-press, you definitely get to see everybody's mess or organization of files. All the graphic designers, everybody who sends everything in, you get to see their little
Designer
tricks.
hygiene.
You get to you know, deconstruct it and sort of like backwards fabricate it, because you some stuff you have to. When it comes to pre-press, it's not just, hey, here's this flat file and print it, you know. Sometimes you definitely need a vector. Sometimes you definitely need live fonts or etc. So when you start to get these, what are the full native files and that kind of stuff, which starts coming through, man, I used to love those when I first started, because you'd open those up and they weren't, you know, the flat JPEGs or PDFs or whatever. Man, you'd open these up in Illustrator and you could see all the layers and all the stuff that goes into it, you know. And like I said, especially specifically with the big houses, the agencies and stuff, when they would bring their stuff in, and you know,
Dude,
in
we
CDs.
just uploading our next episode on naming your layers, like the importance of that, you know,
Oh,
because
man.
when you work on your own shit, it's one thing, right? You could fucking clip shit in there, you could put layer 1, layer 2, but when it gets handed over to a production artist or a different house or the prints, like they're
Right.
gonna look at your shit, and they don't know
Right.
how to maneuver your stuff, but they have to, you know, break it apart, or that could be an extra additional charge or whatever it might be. So
Absolutely.
again, that's one of those things, like you have to know your shit and name your stuff, because some other
Yes.
artist might fucking work on it. You know, you could get fired tomorrow and then hire a new designer in 2 weeks, and they're gonna go through your shit, and you're like, I should have cleaned all those up.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Definitely. I definitely learned that from prepress. Absolutely. I mean, there's always going to be somebody working on your files. Always work as if somebody was going to work on your files after you, because it's definitely either another production artist. I mean, definitely if you're a creative director, you know, you're going to hand it down to your production artist or your you know, lower level, you know, junior
Yeah.
designers. And so they have to deal with that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah,
I've
for
definitely,
sure.
when I've gone to when I worked at other agencies at points, you know, stuff gets made real quick, and for approval, you know, the mock-up, you know, mood boards, etc. And so you get stuff done really quick, RGBs and you know, whatever stuff, like you said, that not properly cropped, and it gets approved, and you're like, okay, cool. And now it has to get turned to these different mediums. It's not all going to be RGB. It could go,
Yeah.
you know, CMYK or whatever. And at that point, man, I've changed files from that point, and you lose all the graphics
The pop
sometimes.
to it.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The filters don't work the same.
Yeah.
I mean, everything just goes wild. So
Yeah.
Super vibrant colors.
I'm just
super
like,
vibrant colors.
okay. So how do you let's 2 steps here. So when you went to pre-press at that time, were you working pre-press and were you working at Virgin too, or how did that path happen?
oh no, yeah, no, definitely. So the second time around, right? After I went to what's it called brand,
The weeds,
right? I left from there.
The weeds hitting him. The weeds hitting him.
They right. they
What do we have?
they
1 hour?
of course weren't paying what I wanted, so I started applying, and I graduated pretty high in the class, you know, pretty high GPA, and I had pretty decent portfolio, so I was able to land another job. It was with NPS. It was a pool supply for their indoor. I mean, their in-house designer.
Nice.
A lot of it was designed for a store. They had their own line of chemicals and that kind of stuff. So it was designed on that end for a lot of the floor, the sales floor for their stores, which was really fun. I really got to take that through, you know, the creative, and then print it, and then see it there at the stores. So that was cool for a minute. And they decided to hire their past designer for some reason. And so I moved on. And I was still looking. So when I seen the opportunity for to work at Virgin, man, I was like, yeah, definitely. It was definitely a pay cut, but I was like, man, this place is gonna be cool, you know. And yeah,
How much
so
did they offer you at the start?
man,
I started at $12. That's why I started
yes,
off.
yeah,
That was $12.
okay, yeah. It kind of hurts to say
Yeah.
that, right? It's like,
Yeah,
can't believe I did that.
They started me at It started me at $12. Yeah. I mean, at that time, it was. I mean, that's what I
It
was
wasn't.
making. So
Yeah,
you know, it
it
wasn't
wasn't
bad. It
too
wasn't
bad. Right.
$8.50. It was. I was making
Right.
$12, and then when I got pulled on full time, I got bumped up to $14. So I
Very
was like fucking
nice.
super happy. I'm
Nice.
like, hell
Very
yeah, I'm making
nice. Heck
$14.
yeah.
Like I'm the
Heck
shit
yeah.
because this was my not my first Virgin was I'll say my first adult job that I had, you know, because I had, you know, job right out of high school, then I joined the army, so I didn't really work the labor force that much. But I knew I wasn't making $8.50, and I was making, you know, $14 full time doing design. I was super happy. I was living at home and stuff, so I'm like, fuck yeah, bala,
Yeah,
get the
that's
guac,
bank.
get the guac. That's
Yeah. Yeah, it's bank for sure. Yeah, so it was great. I mean, then that again another great experience with that. I think they were pretty well organized as far as the process. There's definitely uh, sketches and comps and presentations and the
Mock-ups.
boardrooms, the
Mm-hmm.
mock-ups, and getting feedback at the war room boardroom
Yep.
and they, you know, it's a very cool environment and yeah,
Were you there when we had to rebrand the Luxor when we had to
the
do like a
Luxor and the
quick
Excalibur. Yes.
and we stayed up super late to like 12 at midnight and we were playing music and we had like the strobe lights going
The
on.
strobe lights and
And I
everything.
don't yeah, I don't know if I don't know if you remember, but I remember I had like a badass sound system at my desk, so I had a subwoofer and everything. And when
Yeah.
our buddy Resto, when everybody would leave, he would open up the bottle of Jameson and we would just drink, and we're all doing production work because the Luxor we needed to do all this production work for them because they were
So much
rebranding, and it was a lot. I mean, it was a fucking lot. We were talking about
for
huge ass
everything.
banners, step and repeats, digital assets. I mean, the entire casino needed shit, and it
Yes.
was a
The
week that
entire
we had to
casino.
turn around. Yeah, so it was
Yes.
myself, Carlos, David, and Jacob, and I
Yep.
think it was for like the entire week. We were there
Entire
from
week.
8 in the morning or 7 in the morning till about midnight. We were just cranking
Yeah.
shit out, but I was hourly, so I was like, "Fuck it, I'm getting paid."
Hell
And
yeah.
then we would leave and we would hit a like Bocce Burger right down the street that it was still open at the time to go get some food and get some drinks. But yeah, we would play music and it was just cool, like that environment of just like, hey, this is what an agency is. You know, I'm in the shit.
Yep.
This is awesome. I'm getting paid. I'm doing
Yeah.
design work. But yeah, okay. So you were there for that whole spiel.
Yeah,
That
I
was a
got
shit ton of work,
right
bro.
near the end. I got the Excalibur. I is what I got. I think you guys had already like knocked
Okay.
out most of the Luxor, so I got the Excalibur.
Okay.
And yeah, it was a lot of stuff. Key cards,
Fuck, that's right. The
TV
Excalibur.
monitors, um, yeah, floor room, casino room, yeah, everything. They needed everything.
Every
Wow.
signage
Rebranded.
that you could possibly think of, rebranded for the Luxor, and that's
Yeah,
right, the Excalibur. I forgot about that
Excalibur.
one too. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean everything. Yeah. Like I said, key card, brochures, way signage, posters, lollipops, spines,
Oh my
everything
God,
that the
everything,
casino
man.
needed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Yeah,
Damn. So how
that
long
was
were
so
you at
cool.
Virgin for?
Oh man, I was there on and off for about 2 years.
Oh shit. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It
you
was
left.
I was never completely like hired. I was just sort of um, under contract mostly.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And then, so after you leave Virgin, what happens after that? Where'd you go? What'd you do?
So Virgin. I gotta think back. I didn't bring my resume.
Well,
Let's see. Virgin. What happened after Virgin?
Let's see. What's your LinkedIn? Let's look you up on LinkedIn. You have a LinkedIn?
yeah,
Well,
let's see.
definitely after Virgin. I think I definitely
pulling
went
it up
back.
right
to
now.
Yes, that's what happened. After Virgin, right? Like I said, I was on and off. Um, the reason I left was because family came in, and I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna take some time off." And they were like, "Oh, you're not really an employee. You can take whatever time you need." And I was like, "Okay." So I was like, "Well, that does it then." So I took that time, and during that time is when I applied because at that point, yeah, I was like, "Yeah, I'm so done with with not getting paid right. And I applied to Color Reflections.
Color Reflections,
which is where I
2
met
years
Danny.
and
Oh,
1 month.
nice.
Yeah.
2 years and 1 month, right there. Yep, I see it.
Yep.
Pre-press technician.
Pre-press technician for Color Reflections. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, so that's where you met Danny, and Danny was one of our guests. If you all of you listening, that's a previous podcast. Danny Gonzalez, not Danny Gonzalez the YouTuber, Danny Gonzalez the pre-press director. So we had apparently we have a mix up. I guess there's a Danny Gonzalez that's a famous YouTuber.
Oh,
and
okay.
we had some people listen to our podcast waiting for him to pop up, and he never popped up.
He's
I'm
not
like,
him.
what the fuck? Yeah, they're like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, I mean, I say it from the very beginning. You know, Danny Gonzalez is Sly has stopped recording. Something went wrong. Oh, we're having some technical difficulties. That's
good.
weird.
Good on
It just derped.
But
right.
yeah, we had a person comment. They're like, I in quotes wasted my time on this the last 3 hours, but I really enjoy listening to you guys. So that was cool. But okay, cool.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, we hear you, bro. You're back.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Can you close it? Because it popped up for us too, and then it went away. So.
Really? Yeah, I don't have anything.
But okay, so then you can get to Color Reflections, and how's that environment? What do you do there?
Oh man, that place was freaking nuts. I mean, it was awesome because right away there was a freaking like a $6-7 bump. So I was like, oh yeah.
Oh wow.
That,
okay,
it was
nice.
awesome. I was like, yeah. Making close to $20, and I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, finally. And I already knew how to do it for the most part. All the same stuff, cut files and et cetera, et cetera. It's just larger format kind of machines. It does take a little bit of understanding when it comes to blowing up your graphics and that kind of thing. But yeah. As soon as I walked in, man, it's very tough. And Danny might have mentioned that. It's tough, man. It's like boot camp tough. We had a boss, kind of like a quality check sergeant, who didn't let us slip on nothing, man. Is very tough. To tell you how crazy it was in the environment, the first day that I started, I sit down at my desk and I'm talking to the other pre-press people. Hey, okay, yeah, we're doing this and etc. And all of a sudden a guy comes in from some other department. And I only know because he's got his shirt on, and he's F this, F that, dropping F bombs. And he comes and he just drops a folder, a job folder on my desk. Slap. He's like, hey, you guys fucked this up. And I'm like, what? Yeah, I turn around like, excuse you guys fucked this up. You guys, how you doing? My name is Carlos. Serious face. He goes, well, your department fucked it up. So, and well, hey man, the department head is right down there. You can start talking to him before you talk to me about that. Redirect yourself right back over there, because I'm not the person to do that for you. Oh, and he kept like quick, witty, reply, and I was just like, I'm really not that kind of person. I don't have too many comebacks. I'm of short words. So I was like, if you have anything else to say, we could go outside and we could do that. And
You want to throw down, bitch?
and of course the manager stepped in finally. He's like, hey, yeah, I got this. Ain't no problem. Yeah, we'll fix it. Yeah, Carlos, chill, man. It's okay. He's just, like that, kind of loudmouthed and whatever. I'm like, yeah, I got that. I got that part.
Yeah.
No problem.
Right. I'm about to
And that just
pre-press
set the
your
tone.
face.
Prepress your ass, motherfucker.
Yeah, I mean,
Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
it was too quick, too fast, right? And I was like, wow. But that definitely set the tone for how much people were under pressure there, you know. And I understand now why he did that and how he thought it was okay, because by the time I left from there, man, I was doing the same thing. I was doing the same thing to other people. Yeah.
You fucked this
I mean,
up.
it's the pedagogy of having to go through that place. You know what I mean? That's how you learn, and that's how you're going to teach.
Did you say
simple.
pedagogy?
Pedagogy? Yeah, I know it's a
Pedagogy.
What
funny
the
word.
fuck is that?
Honestly,
Honestly,
I've never heard that.
I'm looking at
Okay, yeah, we could.
Pedagogy.
dog.
The method and practice of teaching, especially as an academic subject or theoretic, I can't say that word, theoretical concept.
Words are hard.
How did you even spell
Man,
that,
Mexican.
Martin? You
No,
can't
I
spell
like-
anything, and you spelled this.
I like to say,
Yeah.
bro, I make words look pretty. I don't know big
Yeah.
words. Okay.
Seriously.
It's pedagogy. Pedagogy.
Awesome. That's a great word.
Yeah.
Pedagogy.
Yeah, that.
I was like,
Yeah, that's
doggy. How did you that? That's how you're always gonna remember it, bro. Like doggy, pet,
Yeah.
doggy,
Pet
pet, doggy, pet, doggy.
A doggy.
Yeah, but so
I've never heard that word.
I had never heard of that word until I heard about it, and then I started using it a lot more often because it's you know it's the method of learning and then teaching, pretty much basically. And of course like I said,
We're gonna use that on the podcast
Scholastic.
from now on.
right.
Pedagogy.
So
This is my
yeah, I
favorite
mean,
word now. Pedagogy.
That's how I
So
learned.
you do your
right?
pre-press,
Pedagogy.
you learn, you go through the ropes, you excel, you start doing the same shit to other people up and coming.
Other folks.
And then what happens? Or what's one of the favorite things you worked on, like pre-press wise, while you were there?
Oh man, always so much cool stuff, right? But by that time, I had already, worked on a few things from Virgin, so I was like no stranger to having your stuff up, on the strip or whatever. So the coolest thing was that I got to do a 10th scale of the South Strip tram rail, the train. Sorry. The 10th scale of it, so that it could get wrapped. And then, of course, we get the native files. Again, we get the native files because they designed it however they saw fit. We get the native files and then relay everything out so that it fits where it should be and the proper output, DPI and stuff.
Huh.
Yeah.
Man, that was so fun. Had people out there measuring it, giving me measurements and that kind of stuff. I cranked it out and it came out problem-free wrap. So that was awesome. When you don't hear anything back,
Awesome.
it's the best part.
Yeah, for sure. No, for sure. When it all goes up and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, we're good. That's how I felt about the whole Luxor thing when we finally went up, and there was one file I remember. It was by like the front desk. I was working on it, or by like the staircase. Just some big ass fucking file that every time I tried to save, my computer would always crash. And I had to do it like 4 times for this shit. I was like, come on, please, just save.
man.
Come on. That's realizing with big files and shit. It's just. Especially being crunched up, 11:45 at night, you hit save, and then all of a sudden it just spinning wheel of death. You're like, come on, dude, I just want to fucking go home. I don't want to be here anymore. Yeah, it's yeah. But okay, cool. So you work on that stuff. You do production, and then what's next after that?
So around about this part, right? I'd like to say that
we lost him.
right
We
about
lost
this
him.
part is where I started sort
this is the
of
break.
doing a little bit
Okay.
more.
He's back. He's back.
You're back.
He's back for a second.
All right,
You're
let's
back.
That's when I really
rewind a little
started.
bit.
Yeah. Okay, so when I around that time when I was about with color reflections, doing prepress, I was already into doing lettering. So while I was on the downtime, any downtime that I was between jobs or etc. Breaks, I would go and start practicing calligraphy or doing writing or doing some lettering at that point. So it started shifting a little bit. I really got burned out at that job. I ended up, leaving, not so well. It was like my third time being back or something, and it was like, again, it wasn't easy. It was, and the environment was shitty. So
that always kills
going
the
back
vibe.
and saying,
You know,
let me
shitty
go back and
shitty
try to,
environment. Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Try to be better, yeah.
yeah, let me try to
Make
go
it
back and be
work.
better and just get your ass whipped, and you end up back in the on the sidelines, like, oh shit, what did I do? I got sacked again, because it was constant, again, constant competition between even departments. So I mean, other people would just print your shit wrong just to get you in trouble, when they could easily have said,
really?
"Hey, you know what? Throw a cut line on this," or you know what? It's 10 scale. You didn't write this down though. They just print your stuff and then go and tell on you. Like that horrible.
Oh, that's fucked up.
That terrible.
Okay, that's terrible.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
yes.
terrible.
Like I said, you have to be watching out. It's horrible. And well, of course, you learned how to be horrible yourself, because it's like, yeah, now you fucked up the job.
Yeah.
Don't
degrade yourself.
Here's your
Pedagogy a bit.
Yeah, you turn around and do it right back.
For
Man.
nine leaves everyone blind.
Yes. There you go. Yeah,
I get it.
Hey.
Especially like being a young designer, or you work in an environment, you're making your pay, but some of us can't be vindictive on that shit. It's just like, what the fuck, bro?
Oh yeah.
Just like any other section of it, any other company, some of us can be vindictive, and some of us are like, hey, what the hell is going on? But it's shitty when that happens. It's really shitty, especially for like big prints like that. Being at a print company, that's material, that's time, that's color, that's shit that costs the company.
It's a lot of fucking money being wasted.
Yeah, like Photoshop Wars is a different thing. You're just wasting pixels.
Yeah.
But print, wasting actual material, like
material,
man. That's your
right.
Yeah.
So people drop
shit,
like flies out of that job, man. They drop. It was a quick turnaround. It was me, probably, and 2-3 other guys who I started with, and I ended up, saying or seeing me go. And I mean, we must have ran through, at least a dozen, of other prepress people just passed by.
If someone, let's say right now we have a junior out of UNLV or somewhere across the U.S. that's listening to us, thank you very much for listening. And they're like, hey, prepress is something that I want to get into. What advice would you give this person that wants to get into prepress?
Yeah, I would say definitely. It's fun. Depending on the environment, you definitely gotta. I would say join the larger companies, the more organized ones. Yeah,
But what
how
would
do
you
you
tell them?
start?
Like, what would they?
Yeah.
What
is the first step?
What's the skill set that they should know? To make sure that they have a chance to get hired, or what they should study on.
Okay.
Yeah. Just to come more prepared. Like, what would you give that advice?
Basics of prepress. Definitely DPI. What dimensions you output your stuff. We all know that for print it's 300 DPI. But you're talking about smaller scale stuff. Maybe at the largest 22 by 28, you could do a 300. At that point, it is a very heavy file. Anything bigger than that, you're definitely coming down like 50, 250, 200. When we're talking about the billboards that we see on the freeway and anything like at that distance viewing, it's like
8
50
DPI.
DPI, 8 DPI. Yeah, it's very, very, very
Yeah.
low. So
Yeah.
knowing how to build those files from the beginning does help. And if whoever built them doesn't know, you as a pre-press designer, guess what? You get to do it because that's your job. So
Okay.
yeah, you'll
Yeah.
receive it. You could receive a complete mess, and you'd have to again request creative native files or new files or etc. So you have to learn that stuff because if you don't know, you output something and it will not print correctly, or it just won't print. If you send out something completely too heavy for the machine, that thing will sit there and just process, rip for the next 24 hours.
Okay, so what do you mean?
So that makes sense now. The reason why you don't want a 300 DPI and a big ass file is because the printer is just gonna process.
It's just gonna sit there and be ripping for a very long time. For most files, the general rule of thumb, right, is you want to be under 1,000 like a whatchamacallit, megabytes. I think 1,000 megabytes under 1,000 megabytes.
MBs.
If you're over 1,000, man, that thing
is that 1 gig?
Right, 1 gig.
How many megabytes to 1 gig? So under a gig.
Yeah.
Not sure.
Yeah,
I mean, a
typically
gig's a
under
big ass file. That's
Yeah.
For us, we're looking at like
no,
1,000
single digit
right.
megabytes for the
megabytes.
newsprint. You know.
1,000.
That's what I put milligrams. Megabytes to gigabyte. Yeah, it's one. That's 1 gigabyte. Yeah, every 1,000 is 1 gigabyte, and then gigabyte to gigabyte. No, what comes out to gigabyte? Terabyte, and then whatever that is.
Right.
Yeah.
So
okay.
yeah, I mean, definitely
so 100,000. Gotcha.
the printer. Yeah, the printer will not probably rip that if you're going with anything like larger than that.
Can you explain the meaning of RIP? Like when you say the
random image processing is the actual name. So what it does is it takes all of your vector images or whatever, and it'll pretty much process them for printing, flatten them basically, and turn them into layers for each channel. So that's basically what it's doing.
Gotcha.
It's flattening everything out. Right.
Okay. I see. Yeah, that makes sense because, for anyone listening right now, when you work on, anything that's over a gigabyte and your RAM processing power, when you save these files, I mean, you have to think of your files, being all shit. Unless you flatten everything, then that makes it a little bit easier, right? That's if it's built correctly.
A little bit, right?
Yeah.
As long as you filter everything correctly, it does help a lot. But again, you may always need it for some reason. But yeah, it definitely the flattening will help it a lot. TIFF is what a lot of people usually who flatten it will provide a TIFF. So yeah, and a TIFF with the low C compression.
So how do you get around a TIFF? Well, okay, say that again. What's this device?
With a TIFF with the LZW compression. The LZW compression, I believe, makes it so that it opens back up in the best resolution and stuff. So it compresses it really well, and then when you decompress it, it's the best. The TIFF for that. The JPEG is the worst. Do not send anything JPEG. Please do not. Unless you have it like completely dialed out, exactly DPI and that kind of stuff. The exact size that you're going to do it. But yeah, JPEGs are the worst. They will completely break your images and do funny things to your stuff. Not recommended unless you're going to, of course, use it for web or digital.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say almost always JPEGs are coming over RGB, not
Yeah.
CMYK.
Exactly. There you go.
I mean, I had to do research. There's like a special way you can get a CMYK on a JPEG, but it's so special most people don't even know about it, and I'd say like 99% of the time people aren't even doing it.
Well, what do you mean,
Yeah.
Sly?
You can do a CMYK JPEG,
JPEG.
but from the research that I did a while ago, it's difficult, and it's like, there's no reason to do it.
Just pointless.
JPEG is
Yeah.
meant for RGB.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like
Just plain simple.
it's
Yeah.
gonna convert it. Yeah. Why not just use the correct format for CMYK and the correct format for RGB?
Yeah.
But almost, I would say like 99. I'd say 100% of the time I see a JPEG, it's always RGB, and that's
Yep.
terrible for print because we're all printing CMYK unless it's
CMYK.
a digital
Yeah.
printer.
Right. And mostly JPEGs are about 120. I think 120, 72 DPI.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Again, you could definitely dial all that out, and it's kind of like WooF4. You can just send a good PDF
Yeah.
or a flat TIFF. It's the best.
Yeah, you could easily just hit that other button for PDF or TIFF. It's like,
Please don't. Yes.
So you
Definitely,
so
especially
you get
for your
to
logos.
true, very true. So okay, so you have your pre-press stuff. You get out. What comes after color reflections?
Right. So I left from there. I put on my designer cap again, and I joined was they're called Nevada Restaurant Services, which is a sort of the larger company. The smaller companies factions are the Dottie's Casinos, or the Villitas, the Red Dragons, the Point Casinos. All of these are the same identity. They're just yeah, they're the same family, but different identities. That's what I was saying. So yeah, that I ended up applying over there, and they took me on as the sole graphic designer at that point, and which I ended up turning into, of course, the lead designer, because we ended up getting another person after about a year or so that I was on. Yeah, and I was there for about 2.5 years, almost 3. I think 3. Yeah, from 2015 to 2000. No, I'm lying. No, I'm totally lying. After
which
color,
place? I have your LinkedIn.
color reflection.
It's the restaurant one.
Yeah,
the restaurant
Nevada
towards the
Restaurant
top.
Services.
2017 to 2021.
2017 to 2021. I'm lying. Before that, I actually ran
Yeah.
the Minuteman Press. for
Minuteman
about a
Press.
year.
Yes,
Yeah.
Cinnamon Press.
The Minuteman Press almost.
And
Dude, that's awesome.
what that entailed of what is that?
So they're a small press. They have a small digital machines. They have 2 color and a black and white, and of course anything else out of that got outsourced. And it's basically one of these mom and shop print shops, and they do everything. They'll take anything on and everything on, of course, because they're trying to make their business. So from design to print, they take it on. For me, that the role there was started with designer or intake, sort of CSR, client relations, kind of, all the way back to printing. I actually ran the Xeroxes there, and I had one other guy.
Wow.
It was me and one other guy, and he would do all the finishing, the cutting, and gluing or anything like that would be required. So the same guy would do the front clerk, sort of payments, that kind of stuff too. So it's just a 2-man team. It was me and him, handling every single client that came in, anything that they'd throw at us, brochures, menus, banners, anything. We did have a manager, but he was kind of like not around as much. He sort of tried to
Okay.
handle a lot of the sales more often, and it's like he every time he tried to come back in and manage, he would always kind of like stick his foot into things. So it was kind of tough there a little bit too.
He had to piss on. He always had to piss on it.
Yeah, for something, right?
Yeah.
Or you know, as soon as he'd come in, he'd see clients, and hey, did they get you everything? Are you everything? Yeah. Hey, when can she get it? Can she get it tomorrow? And you're like, hey, yes, of course you can. Of course, I mean, you can't do that in front of designers.
Yeah, of course.
You can't do that in front of your customers. You know, you can be like, no, they're gonna have to wait their 3 day turnaround, our standard stuff. So, you know,
like they could get it submitted. They could get it tomorrow. They could get it tomorrow if they submitted it 3 days ago.
3 days ago, right?
Yeah.
And the discount and this and that. And
well, I mean, it's also on top of that. It's like, is the file even good?
Is the file even good? Right.
They gave it to us. But is the file even good to print right now?
Yeah, no, I mean it was difficult. It was difficult from going from color reflections to jumping into this small print shop. It was definitely a change. It was a challenge. As you guys noticed, I bumped heads quite a lot with this fella. He ran a printer. He was a print operator who happened to become the manager here. So I sort of had more skills and knowledge a little bit in the office when it came to that part. And I did go through like a training for Xerox to run and clean and maintenance these machines and to color gamut them and everything, color coordinate them and the whole thing. Yeah, after I got all that in, like I said, this guy didn't know so much, so we started butting heads as far as how to manage, you know, some of the printers or printing and that kind of stuff, materials, the time on design, time on printing, and you know, a lot of the workflow. And I ended up leaving from there and going to Nevada Restaurant Services, where I was definitely.
So where'd you go after that? Yeah, so you went to Nevada
Restaurant Services after that, yeah, and that was a much better change.
Okay.
They did run a lot of their Dottie's brand is they pride themselves in being very personal. They do all of their envelopes and mail by hand. They're stuffing, if you believe it or not. A lot.
Wow,
more than
that's
2,000.
old school. That's old school.
Yeah, old school stuff. Everything in.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's
so
like
I
80s, 90s
method
there.
Yeah, I mean they had an automatic stamper, but it was still stamps. They didn't like the printed code.
Yeah.
So it was still stamps.
I know that because I know that because my father and my mother worked at a printing press very, very young at their age when they came to America, and it was all by hand. It was just all by fucking hand. So that's fucking crazy. So obviously, as you're going through this experience and everything, and you're going through your career, what kind of salary are you making at this time frame?
Oh man, I think definitely when every time that I've made a change, it's definitely been for a better pay. Rarely have I ever changed the job and went for a lower pay. The only time was with with an agency when I was like, man, I guess it's a trade-off. But yeah, it's always been
it's 100% a trade-off.
Yeah. So yeah,
agency will always be a trade-off. It's
always a trade-off, right?
Work for the experience you get there, the perks, the amount of shit that you do, all your work's gonna be on a strip. Like you just okay, sure, to the day I'm still like, I did the first round of Thunder from Down Under. That was my shit. Yeah, you know, that's whatever. I don't give a fuck.
I made him
Right.
sexy. Okay,
Yeah,
Jeez.
exactly. You know, I made these
I
fools
mean-
look jacked. They weren't jacked. I saw one of them at LVAC, and I'm like, why do I know this motherfucker? Like, I know this dude from somewhere. And I was like, oh, I know who this dude is. And I'm like, he's not even like,
Photoshop this junk.
I'm like, he's not even yoked. He's not even yoked out. He's fucking just a scrawny ass dude that's ripped. Like, fuck out of here.
Yeah.
He can dance though.
photos.
He can dance.
Yeah.
Dance.
Hey, I mean, I had to do the same thing for my last job with the Chippendale guys. So, but those guys were actually pretty yoked
Nice.
out. I was like, okay, this fool's they don't need much.
Ah,
touch-up,
so you prefer Chippendales over Thunder for None Under Pete?
Here
Those
first.
guys were cool.
Heard it.
Those
You guys
guys were
heard it.
cool. I actually art directed the photo shoot, so different story, different parts of my career on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, he had to do the positioning. You know, he had to make sure they were
You gotta do what you gotta
fluffed
do
up in
sometimes,
the right
man.
position.
You gotta do what you
Say,
gotta do
hold on,
sometimes.
hold on.
Hey. How many photo shoots you got? How many photo shoots you got?
Right.
No,
Yeah, so when
no,
I went
we
yeah,
lost
to
Karlos.
this place, it was an opportunity
Oh, man.
to
Here we go.
finally
So this is
exercise all
like,
of
but
these
for all of
things
you
that
listening
we'd,
right now, I
we'd
hope you're enjoying
learned.
the conversation. Go ahead and
I'm
leave a
not gonna
comment,
steal
follow us, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications if that's still a thing. We appreciate the new 5 subscribers that are part of our channel. Thank you very much. All the views on here on YouTube,
Thank you.
on Instagram. Thank you for all the support. You know, we're trying to make this grow. We really have a passion for this. We see the views, we see the comments, and you know, I think with a little bit more harder work and more elbow grease, we'll be able to make this a bigger success and have more guests on here. And you know, for all you listening, thank you again so very much. We'll be trying to get Karlos back on. But yeah, I mean, great conversation so far, guys. Like it's cool to hear his design journey, to hear about prepress. You know, have you guys ever worked in prepress or done shit with prepress?
No.
Well, I currently work in pre-press.
Well, I mean, you
Oh,
Sly.
you do.
Sly, did you know
Yeah.
about that whole, you know, cutting paper and fucking pasting and shit?
I only knew about it once I got to the review journal, and after talking to my boss, she, you know, goes back and talks about it, and I think we just not lost, but like we just closed down a place.
You guys
I think
back?
in northern Nevada, somewhere up there, that had a bunch of typesetting still up there, and they were trying to figure out what to do with it, and they were like, well, if you go drive up there, you can get some of it.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Yeah, that kind of sounds cool, but
Mhm.
it's like a 6.5 hour drive up there. I'm like, I don't know if I could drive up there, get that, and come back. But just for the people who are listening, if you have been listening and you got to this part, if you have a question that we haven't asked yet, please leave it in the comments below. We can reach out to Karlos and get an answer to that question. And
Yeah.
and
But yeah, you guys
Yeah.
didn't know that back in the day, like you would cut shit out, and then like if you want your foreground image, you would paste it on a background and then scan it in, and then do your edits, and then
Not
I mean,
fully,
for
no,
sure,
no, I didn't know that
will-
Yeah.
shit. No.
I'll say I learned a
Yeah.
lot of it from Mad Men. I mean, we learned it in school, but you know, Mad Men really showed you like, hey, this
need
is
to watch
what
that
it
show.
used to be like.
yeah.
You haven't watched
Right.
Mad Men? Oh my god, everybody in
Yep.
school is
Same.
watching it.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah,
Few episodes.
I feel like-
I saw like 1 or 2 episodes.
Dude,
I
that's where I
didn't-
was like, I'm Don Draper.
It's absolutely
Dude.
right. Everybody's John Draper.
That's-
inspiring, right? But
that's
even
how I
then, you know,
phrased
Don
it.
Draper isn't. He's like a different thing than a graphic designer. You know,
Yeah.
he's like a salesperson. He's like an idea man. You
Right.
had the
Yeah.
other people. I can't tell you the names off the top of my head, but you had the other people doing the design, just like what Karlos was talking about. You had your people doing the typesetting, and even though he said they're not graphic designers, they're typographers, which is what graphic design is as well.
Yeah.
Like they had to be able to look at this and be like, "Hey, this type looks good. You know,
Yep.
maybe
Yeah.
hierarchy isn't good here, or we should change this up." I'm sure that's what they had to do. You know,
Absolutely.
in the
Yeah,
moment,
no, that's
as they're
it's.
laying everything out.
I couldn't imagine having to do that. To be honest, like that seems very fucking stressful to me. Granted,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
as you get to
Imagine you
do
mess
it,
up the spelling.
yeah, exactly. As you get to do it, like I know that it would flow a lot faster and a lot easier. But I couldn't imagine like taking me right now and saying, "Hey, everything's reset. You're gonna have to cut and paste shit." I'm fucking this
Dude.
up. Like,
My boss was
yeah.
telling me the other day, because she's been in the
Good job,
industry
bro.
a long time, and she was telling me about how when she worked in, I think like Chicago or some other newspaper, everything like shut down, or maybe it was like Detroit or Philadelphia, but there was like union busting going around. The union shut the presses down, and basically all the high ups were like, everybody that's still here that's not part of the union, we're going to give you a crash course on running this entire operation. So everybody had to learn it and figure out how to like run the newspaper while the union was not working. Crazy stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
And she's like, so I learned a lot. And through that experience, she's been able to like work her way up because she knows everything from that experience.
Wow.
It's pretty cool. My apologies,
That's
everybody,
crazy.
as well. I'm having a lot of allergy attacks right now.
Bullshit.
It's that
bro.
time in
Some
Vegas.
bullshit.
It is windy.
Now the weather's
Yeah, it's
crazy.
really
easy.
Okay.
Those trees are having a lot of fun right now, Sly. They're like, come here, Sly. Take my polish.
Yeah.
Also-
I really want to get into his like how he like his involvement in typography and lettering too. 'Cause I've seen
Yeah.
it from way back in the day, how he would do stuff here and there, but now like the shit that he's doing, like it looks awesome, man. Like it looks
Oh, yeah.
fucking more
Thank
squared
you,
away,
guys.
and it's a lot stronger. And he has script and he has block letters. He has fun with it. So
Let me
like,
share
that kind of
share
stuff
my screen.
is
Yeah, I was gonna say, Sly, can you pull it up? I kind of want to see.
it's super rad. You know, maybe we have him do like a script thing for us for Room 250. You know, maybe that's something that we
I
do.
was thinking the same thing.
Maybe that's something
I was
that
going to
we
ask
do.
him if he could break ours down, like our logo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, hey, what do you think of this? You know,
Well,
we did
I
our
mean,
typography.
what do you guys think about something where like our guests do our logo or something for our podcast in their style? You know, something that
I
we
like
could
that.
share on our
I think that'd
social,
be cool.
something that we could, potentially press or put on a
would
hat
be
or
cool.
something. You know, like imagine Jordan style, and he translates Room 250. You know, what kind of creature would he come up with? You know, does that become our mascot?
Oh,
Some
Yeah.
kind of lettering right here from Carlos. You know, that
Those
kind
are
of stuff.
dope,
Room
dude.
250 or
That's fucking
David
sick.
Sly or Edo Soy. Like he comes up with some shit like that. Angela. Maybe that's something that we talk to our future guests or even our past guests, and hey, have fun with our name brand or our names. What can you come up with our shit? I think that'd be pretty
Yeah,
cool.
we should reach out to
Their-
Angela and
their own
ask her.
twist.
I'm sure she'll be happy to do
These
that.
are really cool too.
Yeah.
Look at that,
Yeah,
even the
yeah, see-
animation. He's working on animation in here, and
Yeah, like this kind of stuff is super rad to see. I mean, him developing an entire alphabet. Yeah, I mean it's pretty rad. I can't use my phone because it's on my camera right now. I'm guessing everybody else is here. I'll say
Same.
you send him a DM to see if everything's okay. If not, we'll have to cut for phase 2. But
ooh,
Yeah, we can reschedule if
I
anything.
can't.
I don't have
DM
his
him.
number, but I could.
it's on the
try.
email. It's just that my phone is
Yeah, I can
Actually,
email him. Give me a second.
okay. We have that here, but yeah, again, great conversation so far. Learning a
How
lot.
to do that?
Totally forgot about the whole just pre-press shit. I never really. I had a little bit of experience with that when I was doing stuff with by design. Got exposed to that and some of the shit that he's talking about, like ripping and color process and how the ink lays on top of it.
Yeah.
Like it just, I feel like that helped me become a better rounded designer at that time frame. Now I've forgotten maybe like 80% of it too. So I
Yeah,
remember
nah.
Fiducios, I remember die lines, but there's more stuff that I had to learn that I had to kind of push back.
just sent him an email.
Pre-press,
Hey, can you guys hear me?
pre-press stuff back. So yeah, but definitely interesting. We'll
I
give
did
him a
like
couple
very
minutes here.
little of that when I worked at that car wrap place.
Can you guys hear me?
702 Graphics, because
Okay.
we would like load into the printer, and I remember actually the owner allowed us to do our print our portfolio sheets on there for our portfolio show.
Oh, that's cool.
What do you mean?
So you could
portfolio
impose
sheet?
it on while they were printing.
Yeah, so we printed it on like this. We bought this big roll from like this plasticky paper from this print company, and it was like a big roll. And me and what's his name? I don't remember the name of the guy, but me and my buddy, we shared the roll, so we bought it together. I think it was like $200, and then we printed it on the machine, and then the machine we set the die cut, and then the the machine cut out the paper out of the roll.
Oh,
The
nice.
whole, like, paper
okay,
roll, for
gotcha.
instance. So it's pretty dope. But that's as far as I get from that type of printing. I learned a little bit of t-shirt like printing and stuff with the like, all that stuff, but nothing crazy like the knowledge that he has or the knowledge that Danny has. Because it's, to me, it's crazy that you could look at a piece of paper and just know that that's 5% off the red or that color's
No, that's
5%
that's crazy.
fucking. That's just like fucking talent, right? That's master status skills.
Yeah,
to me.
no, for sure.
yeah.
I mean, that reminds me of like a master like whiskey. They just fucking have it in their hands and they could smell it and say, "Hey, this is what you do." That class, that type of I don't know, skill set that no longer really exists anymore. To go back on our
I mean,
conversation,
anytime I would go to Creel, and I had to do press checks at Creel, that's exactly how it was. You would go and they'd be running the print, and you'd be like, "Oh, this looks like a little." The people here look a little magenta, and they'd be like, "Oh, okay," and then just boom, 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 and now they all of a sudden it's perfect. I'm like, dude, how did you just know how to mess with this? They're just on the spot, just able to fix it and run it at the same time.
Yeah, I learned a
it's
lot
just
with that
acquired
too.
knowledge.
That too, with like in the magazine business, going to do a pre-press check and just checking shit like, hey, these colors are off. But then learning too, like how a magazine is folded and how certain sheets get printed, and it's like you use too much red or black here, and it prints over this page that's all white, or it's also yellow. How your skin tones can mix up, and like keeping all that shit in mind as you do stuff. We were talking about graduation and stuff, and I wanted to share this. So I have a note on here. There he goes. There. I wanted to share this right there. So I have a note of September 20th, 2012. So there's a little baby Sly right there. 60 pounds ago, and there's Martin right there. Shorty,
Probably
there's
more
me.
than that.
There's myself. There's our friend
Aaron.
Monica, who's a tattoo artist now. Our instructor, Paul Thens, who's the creative director for Dogfish Head. Erin, she runs her own small agency. And Jason, the crew, he worked for Red Bull at the time. So
he does a lot of like.
Not sure what he does now.
I think he's still doing stuff.
Hey, what's
Hey,
up?
you're back.
Homie, what up,
Hey, we got him back.
Can you hear us?
Uh-oh. Was the week kicking
I think
in, bro?
he's like hella high, bro. That drink got him feeling good. He's like, what line am I in? Where am I? What is this? Who am I? What?
He's like, hold on, I gotta go pre-press this drink real quick. Dude,
only hear you
100
guys.
milligrams is
We can't
dangerous.
hear you,
Yeah, we can't hear
Carlos.
you, but 100 milligrams is dangerous on fucking
I know.
Okay.
a drink. Do we need a refill right now before we go back into phase 2 here? Is everybody good?
I'm good. I just probably gotta go pee.
You guys can hear me?
Actually, we're still recording. Fuck. You can cut the shit out.
They go straight.
Yeah.
You know that.
There ain't no cuts.
All right, so we got Carlos for you, ladies and gentlemen that are just listening. Carlos just jumped back on, but we're trying to troubleshoot through some technical audio difficulties. Thank you so much for listening so far. We are working on some swag, so hopefully we try to have that by the beginning of next season. Lots of cool shit coming up. Carlos, we cannot hear you. We see you.
Okay.
but
Can
we
you guys
cannot
hear
hear
me?
you.
Oh, you guys can see me. I can't
We
see
can see
you.
you.
I'm not sure. Can you guys hear me?
Still trying to work it out.
Still trying to work it out. Yep.
Hey, you're a lettering artist, so you can just type, what you're trying to say.
Just draw it out at the same time.
Yeah, just draw it out. Yes or no. We'll just say that.
For
yes
all
or no.
those that are just listening, we will read out everything that he writes when he's drawing it out on his tablet.
All right. I want drop shadows on those fucking typos. I want script. I want some blocky letters.
We while you were gone, Carlos, while you're trying to fix this, we were looking through your Instagram and just admiring some of the lettering work that you've been doing. And all of us here, I would say at Room250, really are inspired by the stuff that you're doing. We were looking through it and we are just like, this is fucking awesome, and we all wish that we could do something like this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Thanks.
for sure.
Thanks,
That
guys.
skill set, again, we still can't hear you, bro. We still can't hear you.
Yeah,
I
still
know
having audio issues.
you're still trying to troubleshoot that.
Okay.
But I love type. But we lost him again. I think
Hello.
he'll jump back in. And I think Martin went to go use the bathroom.
Oh man, these numbers are sick too. I didn't even get to these when we were looking.
Can you share the screen?
Yeah, I'm gonna share them right now.
So
So he's got these.
Ooh,
he did
dude, that
his
is
letters
badass.
and he's got his
Okay.
numbers in here.
Carlos needs to do at least 250 for us. The number
At least,
250.
yeah.
That's sick. That 4 and that 7 have been my favorite so far.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, that's cool.
With the
That's
type,
dope.
yeah,
That's
this is
cool. That is super cool. I like that. I like
Number
that too.
2.
Ooh,
number
that's
1.
nice. That's like an eyeball.
Yeah, his exploration of typography is awesome on here.
Schley, if you want to go ahead and share his name for his Instagram, but it will also be linked on our
It is-
description on
What's
YouTube.
going on?
At Karlos not capital. KARLOS MRTNZ on Instagram.
Sometimes when it
Very
comes
sick
to
work.
sometimes when it
some
comes to
lights.
like lettering artist, I see it and I go, I can do that. I know I can do that. And then I try it and I come
It's fucking hard.
a little close. But then I
Yeah.
try like more script stuff and I'm like, yeah, this shit's hard. Like this is not something I could just have the hand for, So it's
His just
when
looks so steady and easy. Like
Mhm.
that's
What in
with
the
lettering artists. You look at it and you're like, oh man, I could probably do that if I like work on some letters. And then you try and do it, and it looks nowhere as neat. The letters aren't uniform. Like you can definitely see that he's worked on a lot of typography on this.
Yeah, no, for sure. There was actually when I was still with the magazine, there was a time where I was just like, okay, I do want to do like a type setting or a type
That's
style cover,
Werewolf.
The wolf.
and Carlos was one of the top people in my mind of like, hey, how much for a cover kind of thing. So, because I mean his type was just pretty rad. Or how could I use his lettering mixed in with the photography or graphic design, and go from there. But I mean, yeah, I clicked
There
there.
you go.
Like, oh yeah, that's dope. That's pretty sick. One
Los
thing too that's
Angeles.
very. Can you go back to the LA one?
Yes.
One thing that's very difficult, but you don't really think about it much, is like the little flourishes right there. Like how it falls off the L on less, but how it just kind of loops back around and it does that big, like curl. Like that's some skill set too, man. Because just as you script shit and you do shit, like how does this flow nicely? How does this work? And it gets overseen a lot. So, I mean, that's pretty rad, man. You should sell that to LA right there.
Oh yeah.
Bam,
Well, I really
bam.
think that Carlos should like literally like create an art piece and send it over to the Cheech and Chong Museum.
Why? Because he's doing weed right now.
No, because it's a Chicano museum,
because
bro.
it's Chicano. That's why.
It's a
Yeah.
Chicano
That's what
museum,
you
and
were
his
saying.
artwork is fucking dope. Like he definitely should have a piece there.
And tell him that when it jumps back on.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Humpty
go
Hump.
now.
Yeah, this is old school, right? This is how old this is. This is
This
from
is 350 weeks ago.
2018. Yeah.
Sure.
No, I've
if you did
seen
the math in
his-
your head, I believe you. 305 weeks ago.
That's what I am, man. That's
There you go, right there.
I have a
Look
bachelor's
at that.
of
That's
science.
sick.
Yeah, this is 2018, 16.
346 weeks ago.
Yeah, but look at the very bottom, you'll see it.
April 8th, 2018. So
There
you
we
didn't do math at all, you asshole. You cheated.
I didn't say I did, bro.
Hey, all right, I'm back.
Okay.
I don't know what the hell happened
Guess
there.
who's back?
All right.
It's that drink, bro. That drink.
No, we're just going over your artwork here, man, and just seeing the progress from way back in the day to where you are now.
You might want to
man,
go
it's been
back, to vertical. There you go. That works.
Yeah.
You know, this is awesome. You know, I again from when I first met you, and you were doing some lettering here and there
yeah.
to where you are now. You know, it's day and night, and it's
Oh,
awesome to see how much you've evolved, how clean your type is. You know, we'd be honored if you could do, you know, a Room 250 kind of script or something for us.
that'd
You
be cool.
know, that's something that we could definitely chat about offline. But you know, it's your typeset is definitely strong. It's good.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah, we were
interested to
really digging
see.
these color ones.
Yeah,
man.
there's
Appreciate
the
it.
numbers that you did. I think the 4 was one of my favorites, and the 7. That 7 is
Yeah,
just that's not yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
That
that was
7 is
fun.
just that's fun. That's fucking cool, man.
Mhm.
And like I was telling these
Thank
guys before before the magazine shut down, um, I was thinking of like, okay, what kind of I want a typography piece, you know, and you were one of the top guys on my list
Oh
of
yes,
being able to reach
yes.
out to do a cover. Unfortunately, that never came into fruition. So, um, but that definitely would have been something I would have reached out to you for. Not sure what title
Okay.
or what cover it would have been, but yeah, I mean, I've liked your typeset for quite some time now. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
um, super rad
Yeah.
to see you, bro.
Oh man, I appreciate that, guys. Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, probably like during my time there at Virgin was probably pretty, um, I guess, catalytic, catalyst towards lettering. I remember seeing if like a couple of you guys were doing lettering. Definitely, Resto, he was doing some lettering, and I was like,
Yeah.
man, I was like about something that I could mess about with. And at first, I just kind of messed about with it. It's freaking horrible. Um, uh, and yeah, I just kind of like did it here and there. I probably didn't take it very seriously until about 2019. Um, well, I mean, as far as lettering,
Say, yeah.
So take us
because
Well,
through
we
your
went
process
back as
on that.
far as 2018. I would
yeah,
just want to say, we were talking about math.
yeah, no, I'm completely horrible. The thing is that lettering has really been just a complete shift of everything for me. I mean, it's become my fucking everything. I don't know how to explain it. Where I used to be like with design, it was always especially I think with being at the Art Institute is having to be a very well rounded designer. And having to be a very well-rounded designer is always having to be at the edge of the, not necessarily trends, but the programs, what's capable, and the yeah, sort of trends that are out there. And I sort of got really burnt out. I mean, it's tough to keep up to try to be the best at everything when there's so many other people who are really good at it, you know? And maybe that's just the way it seemed to me, but it was like, oh man, um, uh, I understood that we got trained, well, at least the way the Art Institute sort of the program was really in touch, and probably with UNLV and all that as well, with the casinos and the casino industry, and really sort of training you how to be a production designer or that sort of designer for that environment. So you're a very well-grounded, rounded designer. You use Photoshop, you use Illustrator, you use InDesign. You know how to do HTML. You can handle, back in those days, Flash or animation. Now it's these other programs, right? So you have to like encompass this big giant field that now is graphic design. You have to really straddle it very well, and I think probably even more now. It's a lot more animation design. Stuff
definitely.
flying in, stuff flying out.
Yeah.
Movement.
Definitely
Yeah.
in the strip, they have a lot more like giant screens or
Marquees.
marquees, and those things look freaking amazing. But
Yeah.
that's the kind of designer that I think is being asked for a lot more now. So you have to learn marketing, typography, illustration, ideation, and so much to encompass that I was like, when I found letters, I finally found something to hone down to, and I don't think that was highlighted as much in the program. Whereas there's like this little field of type design or design that's for designers or tools for designers.
Yeah.
And I was like, when I found type, I'm like, that's still a lot of design involved. And that's where I sort of, deviated towards that field, I think. It's a lot of design involved, and definitely enamored with mid century lettering. Sort of hand done for advertising.
So, is there
yeah.
anything that you're doing with that now? Like now that you're, obviously a pretty strong lettering
Yeah.
artist. Like, what is it that you're trying to go after with that skill set?
Yeah. So I've kind of went through a long process. Like I said, I started with calligraphy, just doing lettering, and sort of modern calligraphy, which is with the brush pen. And then that sort of progressed. There's a couple books I got up here. The Speedball books. These right here.
Oh, hell yeah.
When I found this thing, I was like, man, there's so many like cool like
Oh, that's pretty
alphabets in there that are like single stroke. You could do with a pen or a pencil.
Okay.
And that was like a nice little thing to find, and I started getting into it. And as you start like going through some of this, it goes from calligraphy to actual lettering.
Ooh, what's the book of this? Or can
This
I see
is
the cover again?
the Speedball books. This is of course, a vintage version. But
Speedball.
almost every version of Speedball has either a single stroke or calligraphy kind of lettering, and then it progresses on to where you're building letters out of multiple strokes, which is drawing a letter, which is lettering. So it's sort of straddling both calligraphy and lettering with this book here. So that was a nice little thing to find, and again, the more I found, the more I headed towards that direction, because it was just like, it makes sense. It's nice to find little breadcrumbs, as a designer, and you're like, ooh, I want to learn more about that. I want to, emulate that look or that style, and you find, those breadcrumbs, and you're like, cool, I'm gonna use that as a tool. So yeah, that led me a lot more towards lettering, and that led me towards sign painting. And I went and took on my own. I sort of been not self-educating, but taken as many workshops as I possibly can, and lettering, sign painting, and that calligraphy in that kind of field.
Do you do like one shot stuff?
One shot, yeah.
One shot painting?
Yeah, enamel, definitely.
Yeah. Can you explain to people who don't know what that is? What it is?
Yeah. Enamel is very combustible, sort of oil-based paint. It's the same stuff that's in cans. It's just in a bottle. and it's of course a much thicker formula. And it's the name's One Shot is this. It used to be a very famous and unique blend. So it's so opaque that it's only one stroke of that paint to
Make sure it's not see-through.
Make sure it's not see-through, right?
Gotcha.
So because enamel is in the lighter colors sort of see-through. So the thing about this paint is that you can lay it down in one stroke, and it will do a full coverage. Right. So,
is it really hard to work with?
It is. It has its tricks. It's definitely a learning curve, because you're working with thinners, or different kind of thinners, and you're working with enamel, and it dries. The way you water it down, and of course the kind of brushes are special kind of brushes that are required to paint with that.
What kind of brushes? Like, is it like a certain kind of like animal hair, or?
Yes, it's squirrel for the most part, or synthetic.
Squirrel. Interesting, squirrel.
Yes, red sable squirrels, are what they harvest for lettering quills. So yeah, these hairs are I guess they take the paint very well and lay it down. So you have to use thinners to work with the paint, or else it just dries up very quick. It gets very tacky. This is the quality of it. Once you've been using it for a minute, it starts to get dry and tacky. So you have to keep sort of dropping little bits of thinner every so often, and be constantly checking and sort of running your brush and paletting is what it's called. So you're constantly feeling for that paint, make sure it's smooth, not too dry, but not too watered down where it loses the opacity. That's the whole point of it. So you're
saying there's a lot of feeling in between too.
Yes.
So it's like very tactile.
Right. You're right.
So
right in between that.
Do you love or hate that?
It depends. Depends on which. See, the thing about calligraphy and lettering, that to me in that way and hand done, is that it slows you down when you're creating. You have to, and you're not going to get it on the first try, possibly. So you have to be okay with making that mistake and doing it over or repeating it. Definitely with, of course, one-shot paint, it's one time done. So there's definitely that pressure to get it done right the first time. And so that means that you have to practice a lot prior. And of course, when you're actually doing that, you have to be at the most, concentration as you possibly can. As you know, I think the classic thing, when you think of a sign painter, is somebody painting on a wall, and all these things happening behind him, dogs, little kids, or whatever walking behind him, and he's just steady going at this freaking thing, right?
Yeah.
So yes, you definitely have to have sort of that awareness, but at the same time, sort of unaware of anything but exactly what you're doing. So that's amazing to me.
What's your favorite type of style of lettering that you like to do? Like script or block letters, numbers, names?
Oh man, at this point, I love it all. Right? It's become, man, fucking everything. I don't design much anymore without thinking about the lettering treatment or the kind of type that I'm going to use, and rarely am I thinking I'm going to use Helvetica, or I'm going to use Gil Sans, or I'm going to use. Right away, I'm thinking, is it going to be a sans serif, a serif? Is it going to be a script? And which era?
Oh.
Which are of the style, because there could be, which the block letters or sans serifs used to be called Gothic,
Gothic. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And they used to be called
Damn, fucking sensei over here.
Egyptian Gothic, to be precise. So it's you sort of start understanding these things, and yeah, they do have a little bit of difference from your normal sans serif, or what we now think of sans serif, which is Helvetica and all these other ones. There's definitely a difference between that and Egyptian block lettering. So yeah, I have fun with pretty much anything. The fact that I started with calligraphy, I have a bit of a more ability with script when it comes to using markers and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Because script is very hard when you're hand lettering, especially if it's a single stroke kind of thing. When you're using these brushes, it doesn't do what a pen does. It doesn't stay stiff. If you take like a circle and go like this with that brush, it twirls all up like this, and you end up with just a smush of a line. So you're having to like twist it and twirl it as you're going, or do it in sections. You do the left section, and then you do the right section, and then you do the crossbar, and then you do the stroke down, and then the connection back up, and then so you're doing either sections, or you're learning how to completely twist the brush to get that effect. So when it comes to pens and markers, it's a lot easier to just, you hit the connections with script a lot easier. And it's harder to do block when you're using markers, where it's the reverse. When you're doing with brush, since you have a fat tip and you could just use single strokes, it's easier to go that way. Depending on what I'm using, depending on where I'm going with it, the tools definitely matter. So
okay, is there lettering artists out there right now that like you aspire to, you just love their work?
Oh man, 100 of them. 100 of them. 100 of them. Pretty much.
Give me like two. Give me like two.
No, sorry. I follow probably about 1,500 accounts. Out of those,
You're very close. I have
Somewhere
your
about there.
Instagram up.
out of those, there's definitely a percentage of illustrators and etc. But the rest of them are lettering people.
Do you have somebody that you keep coming back to though?
Yes, I mean the teachers that I've had are probably the ones that I follow the most. The instructors, or instructors that I'd like to have, are definitely the people that I keep going back to. One of my first instructors was Gaston the painter.
Oh, interesting. I follow him too.
He's pretty.
I got it.
Awesome. He's
really good.
Amazing amount of skill, right? And the kid's young. He's been doing it for probably not that long, but I mean, he's just so dang skilled that I mean, I don't doubt he puts the work in that you have to.
There's a lot of videos.
So the amazing thing that I found, the difference that I found between design and lettering, or the lettering world, the design.
Wow.
Is
that hits you right here, right, Pete? It hits you right in your soul when you see that shit. You're like, oh,
fucking.
I don't know.
We were talking about that
just
one shot.
like hits me in my like bubbles, in my gut. It gives me butterflies. I don't know, man. I see why you fall
every
in love.
time.
And yeah,
That's hard as fuck, man.
But see, the interesting is he painted it with white first to get that vibrant color on the glass.
yeah.
But you wouldn't know to do that unless you do it all the time, right, Carlos? I mean,
Correct.
I'm sure you're the same way.
Yes, absolutely. You once you, again, like prepress, there's things that seem doable, but once you actually get out there and do them, you're like, oh snaps, there's trick to it. There's something I'm missing. There's
more to it.
Yeah, there's more to it, And the cool thing about, like I said, lettering is that, or people in lettering and sign painting, is that they're always willing to teach you. They're absolutely willing to teach you. It's one of those. It's a trade. It's one of those trades that you can still learn from a guy who learned it.
Mm-hmm. That gets passed down.
From
person to person.
Right.
Do you feel confident enough that you could say you could teach somebody the basics of lettering?
Yes, absolutely. I'm actually not contemplating, but I'm almost sure that I want to start working towards making some classes.
Bro. I'm with the IGA, and we could set up like a little, class and teach people how to do hand lettering.
Yep.
That'd be definitely dope. And we've been talking about, how do we give back to our community? What are the skills that we teach them right now? Like, what does our community need? And this is something that our community could, definitely learn, our artist community. And if you're confident enough, I'm down to do it.
Yeah.
This is going to be a Room250 thing, and we might involve AIG into it. So we
either or. I don't care, bro.
We can grow.
Hey, Pete, I don't care, bro. I don't care. Hey, Pete, I don't care under what flag it goes. I just want to get back to my community, and if I get a chance to do it through Room250 or through AIGA or together, partnership, whatever, dude. Because our community needs, this is what our community needs.
Absolutely.
They need to learn this type of craft, and I don't feel like a lot of people know this craft. And
I personally don't need to learn this, but I admire the fact that you
would be cool to
how
learn.
to someone. Yeah, it'd be cool to know, but I know that I will never implement it on any of the shit that I'm ever gonna do, because it's not something that, when you know how to do that, like, you have that skill set, so you know how to work it. So instead of me spending 80 hours trying to perfect something when I could just pay you 80 hours and get it done the right fucking way, I'd much rather do that. It's super fucking rad. Like, if Room250 started a workshop and says, hey, we're going to do a lettering workshop with, Master Karlos here. Like, that's fucking, that's freaking rad. In partner with AIGA, hell yeah. But I know for me personally, I would never fucking do this shit for a living. Like, that's not, or anything. I like it. I think it's super fucking rad. I like graffiti. I think that's where my mind goes to. But that's also part of, like, lettering and understanding type and shadows and weights and everything else. But maybe we do a Room250 workshop with you. That's definitely something cool. That underneath the AIGA banner or in partner with that.
In any way.
Because I and the only reason I push back, Martin, there's red tape with AIGA. There's no red tape with us as Room250. In partner with AIGA, I think we could get away with that, but we don't have to answer to anybody. It's us, it's us three. So I think that's where we get the liberty of that. But that's a great idea. That's pretty.
Yeah, no, absolutely, guys. When it comes to like I said, this craft, I think any of us who do it are more than glad to tell and to show. And if we could, of course, teach it, we would. It's definitely, once you get into it, the curiosity just keeps going. There's so much field that you don't understand. Like I said, I didn't know about this until I really started digging through some of this, internet and kind of things to seek it out, because here in the Valley, I seen it, maybe on billboards or etc. But I just it isn't enough where you're like that
it's not something you comprehend. That's like, oh, people here do it in town,
right? And so when I went out with Gaston, I mean, that's when I think got the bigger exposed to it, because I went for a class that he did for the casuals, which is the type that kind of leans. It looks like they usually use them on race cars or that kind of stuff. They're very very traditional of sign painting. So he was teaching how to do these with a brush marker. And while he was at it, he also, of course, introduced us to the history of this letter, this font, the casual, and it goes with sign painting and et cetera, et cetera. And man, like I said, as I begin to learn about styles and stuff, you can't help but follow the breadcrumbs. So
Is this what you're talking about?
yes, yeah, those are a version of them.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, there's 100 different versions. The Doorbuster's another.
Doorbuster.
There it
Yeah,
was
well,
right there.
that's,
Slide, keep going down. No, keep going down. Right there. Casual.
Yellow, blue, and red.
I think that says fucking.
Yellow,
Oh,
Doorbuster.
right here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that one right there. There you go. Yep, I got it. Yeah,
Looking through all this different stuff.
there. Right. And I'm definitely, I can talk about casuals for days because like I said, I wanted to learn and I wanted to understand type because at some point I felt like a designer. I was just grabbing handles and yanking on them when it came to editing or trying to do a logo type or something. I found that I was like just grabbing existing type, Helvetica or whatever, and just giving it a yank on the arm and giving it a yank on this, or doing some sort of special cut or filter on it to make it unique, And I'm like, man, I really want to be able to do something else with this letter, but it looks funky, wonky. And so my aim was just to learn how to be able to manipulate Helvetica or whatever other type and make it fancier, and not just warping or arcing and that kind of stuff, but actually do something to it. And as you, like I said, as you begin to learn about type, it's so in depth with history and styles that it's really never ending. Really never ending. I mean, our history, graphic design history book that we got in college, I still have that. I think the first section of it begins talking about Sumerian writing on tablets.
Oh, shit. Okay.
One of them, the first pages are about the caves in Lascaux. You write the cave paintings, and the very following pages are about the tablets. And so to me that's graphic design is type, lettering, and images being combined for an image or a purpose, right?
You remind me of the show Abstract, season 2. I think it's the last episode. They talk about type design and how they talk about like old school watches and how these numbers were, hand drawn. They wasn't type, and they're searching. It's a company that came up with like Montserrat, I think Ariel.
I think it is.
There you go. Exactly.
Yes.
And they part of their inspiration is going to like old school antique stores and finding watches that had how the 4 is stretched out, how the number 1 has it, old school textbooks, and they look at this shit under the microscope, and it's like, look at the 4 here and look at the 4 over here and how it's used and how they handle this. And I'm like, I don't really think about that until you start thinking about it. You're like, fuck, man, this is an art in itself. Like, I love type. I think in my career set, I've always had a strong pseudo typography, but like you, man, you understand type. That's a whole different thing. I know type, I know how to use it, and I know how to display it and for what I do as a living, but you completely understand the history, and I think that makes it just different. You know how to warp it, move it, give it character, and just bring life to that, and that makes that skill set even better. If I were you, dude, I would definitely try to get in contact locally here with like Las Vegas Magazine, Las Vegas Weekly. But but just with magazines and try to get your shit on the cover. You know,
Oh, yeah.
I think
That'd be cool.
your shit's fucking definitely strong enough that you can be on a magazine on something. You know,
Appreciate that. Yeah.
it just depends on. I think now if you were to elevate your graphic design skill set to match your lettering, you would be pretty unstoppable on that part. You know, I think like I'm just thinking of shit that I like, right? So if I saw a gun magazine with your lettering of script, if it said like SIG, you know, with a fucking weapon and it's fucking this cool typography, I'd be like, shit, that's fucking sick, man. Like you got me on that one, you know. But same thing with like food. You know, there's a lot of food layouts that use that kind of script or that kind of lettering that you could definitely be a part of. So, you know, I really hope that you go after something like that because it'd be really cool to see your shit published for sure.
Yeah. No, thank you. Yeah, no, absolutely. I've worked on a couple of things. Definitely. Can't exactly tell you guys what, but
no, sure.
It's for another creative director, and they have a pitch and they have this whole thing that they've done, right? But yeah, I mean, they've just come to me and they're like, hey, we have this type. We've tried to maneuver it and do our thing with it, and we're unhappy with it. It looks funny to us, and we want your expertise and input on this. And they even discussed perhaps, you know, building an entire alphabet and doing a type for it.
Nice.
And I'm like, yeah, absolutely, we could absolutely do that. That's no problem. But that would take some time.
Yeah.
So if we could just we could start with the logo and then we could move on with the rest of the alphabet if you guys want to move that way. But yeah, I helped them get this typography down and tight. It's definitely different. And it's of a style that's not as if you may not believe it, but it's not digitized.
Yeah.
The Tuscan woodblock and the woodblock styles. There are some people who have digitized it, but man, there's so much styles in that Victorian style that it'd be insane. It'd be an insane project to try to put all these styles into one font.
No, for sure. I mean, I'm definitely interested in seeing, you know, how you could handwrite, you know, RoomTwoFifty. I think that'd be pretty dope. You know, having that creative freedom to highlight our design. But man, this has been such a great conversation, and I feel like we could go further into lettering. You know, I kind of want to make I kind of want to make this a part 2 for that because I feel like, you know, we got the beginning journey of who you are and where you got, and I mean, just hearing the passion now from you on lettering, like let's save that for part 2. Let's save that
is a change of my attitude right there, right?
Oh yeah,
I mean, you can see the energy.
You're like, fuck, where did I work at? What did I do? Oh yeah, that's right. It's like,
that's right.
That
block lettering.
Oh yeah, what did I do? What I have for open lights? Yeah,
serifs,
squirrel, fucking tail fur and shit. Like my question is, who at what time frame killed the squirrel and was like, I could paint with this fucking tail, man. Like this fur right here makes this shit right.
This
you know
what I'm saying? This is the premium shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, no, you gotta kill it.
It was probably some guy that was fucking painting letters with some shitty brush, and he got fucking pissed, and he was like, you know what? That fucking squirrel I touched was fucking soft. Let me get that bitch. That's it. What it is, bro.
The squirrel bit me and gave me rabies, so I'm gonna use it as a brush.
Look at that fluffy ass tail.
Look at that big ass tail right there.
This fucking, there we go.
Yeah. I mean, definitely for me, the lettering is a complete, like I said, a complete different shift in everything that I thought design could be, and where I thought I fit into design. I really wanted to fit. And I still do. I want to fit into this casino stuff. I want to be a creative director for Caesars or something, you know, something cool, and make all that cool stuff. But there was something when I
Get
found
in line,
lettering.
bro. Get in line on that one.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That there's so much competition, and check it out. There's so much competition that there's a lot of gatekeeping. You know that's what that involves. The competition. You know, you all of a sudden you don't want to show anybody nothing. You want to be the guy on top. You know, or maybe, you know, you want to get a few extra bucks for that thing that they're having you do. And it really does get very competitive, and a lot of in between us designers, it can get very, very competitive. One of the things that changed for me was a lot of designers were kind of snobby. I think at right near the end of our career in what's called college.
Okay.
At the end of the art institute.
Yeah, at the Art Institute, there's a lot of very snobby people. And I feel that kind of like progressed, like over onto work. There's a lot of people who are just very ranked,
Sly.
And when it comes to really like letting you know or teaching you, again, that whole from master to pupil kind of thing doesn't exist much. It really has to be your friend or somebody you trust to be like, oh, dude, don't you know how to do the Command V and Command Paste and this for when you do that? Don't you know that? Or else, it's very competitive. In the lettering field, I found that everybody's very helpful. Everybody's willing to teach you. There's just so much to learn and so much to know that I could sit here and like you guys just said, I could sit here for another 3 years and tell you everything I know. Because that's how long it took me.
Right?
Yeah,
and there's still more.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much history, so much styles, so much. I thought, okay, I'm going to find a style that's my style, and the talk of styles and the style and this lettering style, especially like in graffiti and stuff. When you find that you go through history and you find all these types and stuff, and you're like, that shit has been done before. That shit has all been done before, Yeah. That was the style back in I don't know when. So there's just so much, and I'd be willing to teach everything, of course. And somebody told me, oh, well, don't do that. Teach it, but do a class, get paid for it. But honestly, I mean, I could sit here and tell you guys more. And it probably half of it would go over your head, because it's really an entire process to understanding that field of design. Yeah,
no, let's definitely link back up, man, and maybe you join us for next season and we go over that stuff, because that's definitely, we see the passion, and there's a much deeper dive on that that we can go over. And also when you're not on your phone, so you can share some better shit.
So you notice
that's the main reason. That's the main reason on that part.
Let me quickly show you guys. I mean, this is
please,
because you guys definitely asked about again, Gaston was one of my first teachers. I also went with Mike Myers, and this is his one of his lettering examples that he did for us real quick, and he must have done this like in 10 minutes. Less.
Shut the fuck up.
This is done in enamel. This all hand done.
Wow.
So that's the kind of stuff that
really zoom in. Let's see.
Will drive you nuts. Like,
wow.
Martin, tag this part 227, so we know what to make this a reel right here.
Right, and he's sort of
that's
like
sick, dude.
This all hand done with just a triangle and a pencil, and then filled it in.
Wow.
So yeah, when you see that kind of work, man, I'm telling you, you can't help but love it. This is Mike Myers. Do
you ever do like any IG lives and just start tracing your shit or doing like lettering?
Yeah, I've done a couple of them, and might do a little bit more. Also, a little sort of thing that I want to do is a little tidbit sections of typography tips. Lettering kind of thing.
Yeah,
sort of beginning kind of stuff, basics, that kind of thing. But I've definitely been on Facebook Live and IG Live for a couple of sessions.
Awesome.
But yeah, you definitely got to be prepared. You know, those are different flow with those.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, let's go ahead and
yeah.
wrap this up. If you want to
Yeah.
share
Yeah.
your IG one more time,
Yeah.
you said you don't have a website, right, or a way for people to get a hold of you if they need to.
No, like I'm currently making that entire shift towards sign painting or more like type and design and lettering.
Okay.
Currently, it's just Karlos Martinez, Karlos Martnz. That's my handle.
Karlos
LOS, is it?
MRT. Yeah.
That's the
good.
cannabis right there.
Yeah.
Karlos Martnz.
Fuck, how do I spell my name
Yes.
again?
Is that how to spell my name
again?
It's a Z
Right.
for cool, man.
Cool. Well, awesome. Let's we'll wrap this up. Thank you again, everybody listening. Thank you,
Thanks,
Carlos.
guys.
We'll
Thank you,
definitely
Thank you guys, man.
Carlos.
Thank you for having me.
we'll do a part 2 on this and cover strictly just lettering. We'll definitely
for
be in
sure.
contact to see what kind of cool stuff you could do for us. You know, with our name, I think you can definitely create something badass.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah,
we'll figure out logistics on that part. But everyone listening, thank you once again. Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, tell us what you think about this. Follow Carlos on Instagram at his handle, which was K something.
Karlos MRTNZ.
There
go.
we go.
Carlos Martinez. There we
Don't
go.
forget to
Carlos
follow.
Martinez.
Don't
Carlos
forget to
with a
follow
K.
us at the Room 250 podcast on Instagram, on the TikTok at the Room 250 podcast, here on YouTube at the Room 250 podcast. Comment, subscribe,
like,
share
hit
with
that
your
bell.
friends, reshare, follow us, comment, all that crap, and we will see you guys later.
Adios.
Thank you guys.